come and visit.
What were you
Yeah, come
saying?
somebody come in, during the season. Anybody has a come and visit us, they gotta know. They gotta ask. You gotta ask them one thing: are you allergic to the F word?
Mm-hmm.
If you you got to know.
No doubt.
And so you all know is that Jeremy's okay. He's not allergic to the F word.
And no doubt about it.
All right, guys, we'll get it started, kick it off. One thing that appreciate you guys for being here again tonight. One thing right before we got started, because it's stuff that kind of applies to you guys' world. I wanted to just like mention and or like talk about briefly. Always do this type of stuff when I have stuff that like may be able to help you guys out and whatnot. This shirt that I'm wearing right here right now, and I don't know actually, like I guess I'll ask. I guess I could look at the participants. Are there any soldier coaches on the call right now? Any soldier coaches? Okay, they may some maybe trickle in. I know there were some on the last one, but this is Soldiers to Sidelines. This is a huge national nonprofit that one of my great friends and a guy that coached with my father and I back at the Redskins when they were still the Redskins started a number of years ago. He's a great strength and conditioning coach and DB coach, professor, kind of everything, started a bunch of businesses, but he kind of came up with the idea back then, and he started this company on kind of seeing the one of the most natural, or one of the hardest things, I guess, so to say, for like military personnel, special forces, is to transition back into the civilian world. And so one of the easiest things for them, right, could be transition into coaching, initially football coaching, but coaching, and then vice versa, seeing, problem solving on the opposite side of things, and seeing, especially at like the high school level, continued decrease in and loss of number of coaches, teachers, stuff like that, right? And so marrying those two things and being able to continue to like tap into all of their skill sets, their leadership, their service and whatnot, and be able to go into their communities and do that. And so what Soldier Sidelines basically does is take transitioning military and special forces and gets them certified from everything from like concussion certification, heads up certification, to like they'll go through like a multi-year process. They've got live coaching type clinics and whatnot that say like we, or people in the NFL, people associated with Soldier Sidelines do. And then they've also got a massive kind of like online library, so to say, of really kind of clinics and teaching and kind of studying type stuff that they got to go through to get this stuff. And he's got about 1,400 soldier coaches right now, and about 7, so it's gone from, in the last 2 years, probably 100 soldier coaches to like 1,400 soldier coaches, and scaling quickly. And now it's about, I think, either 7 or 9 sports, obviously dominant, primarily football coaches, and primarily high school type football coaches. Some guys are in college and whatnot. But that's just something I wanted to put on you guys' radar. If you guys ever wanted you guys can look it up, Soldiers to Sidelines, something you guys ever, wanted to be associated with, and or like you were looking, for guys, right? Like on your staffs, stuff like that. And whatnot, we can, obviously like link you up and see guys in you guys' areas, guys in that type of stuff, but potentially good value add of people for our staffs. Another thing I wanted to show you guys real quick right now is, because again, it'll be coming to you guys' world very soon. I'll be pushing it to you guys' world soon. Really, I'm still like going 100 miles an hour, even in quote unquote retirement. Like I've got 4 companies that I'm a part of and that I run and whatnot. This one right here, I believe is truly market disrupting, is going to change the world, like in sports, social media, branding, everything with NIL now as well too. And essentially what we've built is a whole ecosystem around being able to better at the individual and institutional level, at every level, from high school, college, pros, everything, to be able to better brand and monetize and like monetize off of like your brand and social media following, but then also even at the institutional level, the ability to tap into multiple like revenue buckets from vendors, ad, tier-based subscription type services, your fan club, so to say, and whatnot, quarterback club, whatever it is, e-ticketing, all that stuff. But the ability to like kind of seamlessly integrate all of this type of stuff. It's all NIL compliant as well too. So the way that the players, themselves, can monetize off of their presence and whatnot. But I want to just show you slightly this. We're launching, right? Like it's already launched. All right, then we're full on launching with Michigan, University of Michigan, Ohio State, Grambling State, right here, right now at the start of football season. And then 2.0 of the ecosystem is rolling out. Will be me rolling out to 1B is me rolling out to all these like individual athletes, like professional athletes that I used to coach and whatnot. And then 2.0 is will be coming through the fall, really, and into the first quarter of 2024. And that will be trying to onboard all the high schools in the country, but also XFL, LPGA, like those are already done. We've just got to get all their athletes on board and whatnot. But I was just going to share my screen and just show you guys like one little like snippet of. It's a whole system. Again, like I said, it's an ecosystem. It's not just one thing. Like we've got an app, and then we've got two other parts of the ecosystem I'm going to show you right now. So it's part Linktree, it's part TikTok, it's part Instagram, it's part OpenSea. It's all of these types of things. I'm going to show you the part that's Linktree better than Linktree. So like this would be like, say, like Gramblings. And so, as we all know, Linktree, right, like is nowhere near as pretty user interface, all that type of stuff. Plus, to really do anything on it, change anything on it, add pictures, whatever, you got to pay. Right, this is fully free part of a free app. Oh, by the way, think of it like a toll booth off of your individual school, or as an individual brand or whatever, individual athlete. Like Grambling is literally making money by me showing you this right now, because like there's just like a YouTube type model. Like there's like that's an ad right there, as like you can see. And so they've got their ads, their sponsorships, but it's like this is like one part of the ecosystem, right? Like their total net aggregate location, like a aggregate footprint, so to say, on like the digital web anywhere out there, like their stores, their stuff. And we just take a small part of like the ad revenue. Like we're just presenting basically the platform for these guys. All of the websites, like we go to Huddle, if we go to YouTube, if we go to On3, like if we go to On3, it's going to take you to On3's website, all these different websites, but it's going to be pre-filtered for like everything about Grambling, say like on that thing and whatnot. Again, I said there's an app as well too. Like the whole entire thing is going to be like an entire ecosystem, but like we can get into like more at later times as we start launching it for everybody else as well too. But all the various different ways that you can do all the things that you're already doing. This is the main feed where it's got in the app, where we got that TikTok or Instagram type feel to it. But wanted to kind of show you guys that, put that on your radar, because that is coming. And again, it's just a different way, huge way. It's going to be a huge way, for people to really infinite use cases on how you can go about like fan management, fundraising, all those things that you guys already do, but just even in a more efficient manner and whatnot. But let's get into what tonight is about and whatnot, which is run tilts and defensive line tilts. Let me share my screen over here. I want to start with this, actually. Can you guys see this?
Yep.
D-line manual, D-line outside linebacker manual. So just like last time, just want to start with a couple of foundational, like philosophical type stuff before we get into the cut-ups that we see. This would be my positional manual at the Jets. I'll mention this right here, probably because you guys, I bet you guys have seen, honestly, a lot of you guys have probably seen this circulate a lot for like 2014 or 2015 Alabama, and whatnot. Obviously, we all get stuff from everybody, right? Like Nick Saban and Kirby got it from us. This was something that we put together as a staff, G-Dub and us in 2009, right before we won the Super Bowl at the Saints. And because we sit there and we talk all the time about like, hey, effort, give effort, and we coach it hard and whatnot. But like, okay, how do you define it? How do we define it? How are we going to police it? And 09 was effort and toughness when we actually kind of like built this out, right? After the season, we won the Super Bowl. Because you know how it is. Like when you do something like that, everybody's rolling through your OTAs and everything in the offseason. So Nick and Kirby and Jeremy Pruitt, who was the DB coach at the time, and Kirby was the linebacker coach, D coordinator at the time. Those three came out and spent a week with G-Dub and I at the Saints and took a number of those things back. But this is what we're talking about, and you'll see. We already were talking about last time, especially when we talk about at the end of every single play, 11 guys, in the end zone copy of the play. I'm going to get down to, we talked about this one last time. It's freezing up a little bit. I don't know why. All right. So real quick, tip of the spear, military term, right? I don't know, a lot of you guys have heard about it before. The way we coach our especially in the run, all right, especially in the run, but the way we coach the line of scrimmage players, right? So if you're 34, like we're kind of a hybridized 34-4-3 type of thing, right? Do so much 46 defense type stuff, like your defensive ends are really outside linebackers nowadays, all stuff like that. But our line of scrimmage players are really the tip of the spear. And the actual like military definition for the tip of the spear, like the Navy SEALs or whatever, is a combat force that is used to puncture the enemy's initial lines of defense to be quickly followed by concentrated forces which destroy any remaining threat. Tactically, the tip of the spear is a blitzkrieg, an unexpected onslaught of firepower and destruction that takes the enemy by surprise, scatters his resources, and fractures his morale. That's not just lip service. Like that's literally what we are trying to do with our line of scrimmage, our tilts, bird, rabbit, like all those type of things, right? And then the second and third level defenders are those quickly followed by those concentrated forces that we're talking about. But what we're doing up front, with anticipation and alignment and technique and whatnot, it really is that tip of the spear. And you'll see that. I don't know why this keeps doing that. All right, wanted to get into this right here. All right, so how we play the run, and we're going to see this, how we play the run. We play football, not fitball. Football, not football. It's about space. You heard me hit this a lot of times last time we talked. It's about space. It's not about unmoving gaps and players on pretty playbook drawings. How do we do this? All right, in order of operations, how do we crush the run? All right, how do we crush the run? Set the primary force fast and aggressively on or behind the line of scrimmage. Don't let them expand the primary line of scrimmage force player more than 2 yards, which is 2 steps. All right, same thing. We'd also, from an alignment standpoint, you'll see we're talking about this for the most cases. We don't want our primary force player more than 2 steps, 2 steps from force, like not too wide, right? Like it's about space. You're already too wide from the get-go. Then you're giving that space up, right? Set the secondary force fast, aggressive, and violent, right? So whoever's the flat player at the end of the day, sort of thing, right? Set the secondary force fast, aggressive, and violent, right? Our last talk was Tampa 2, and we talked a lot about that, right? On or inside the midpoint, and how we do that to constrict space. Sky force, right? So like safety force will often be in the backfield usually, because a lot of times like that dude's in the C gap, say. He's stacked in the C gap over a tight end and whatnot, or maybe there's like a YY wing in the force. The primary force player is in the crease between the 2 tight ends, and the sky force player is standing right outside the wing, right? And whatnot. So a lot of times the sky force will be in the backfield. Line of scrimmage players violently knock the line of scrimmage back. This creates level and space to be exploited between the line of scrimmage and off the ball players, and there are no longer pure gaps. No longer pure gaps. I'll say this real quick before, and you'll see it visually when we get into it. We are a violent knockback two gap defense. So we don't, it's not traditional 34 two gap defense. It's not Vic Fangio gap and a half defense, right? And you're, and all that stuff, you're staying a little bit more on the line of scrimmage. It is about disruption, force, and knockback, and very particular on some of the angles and physics of it, and then you're able to really play two gap defense because of that disruption. And I'll show you how we do it. Off the ball players work and move as a unit, playing off of those in front of and beside of you. We do this with stimulus response training and reactions. I know we got into a some of us on here got into an internet coaching clinic when I saw one of my things out there, probably by one of you guys out there, a couple months ago or whatever, on but on the linebacker, my stuff from the linebacker plays and the forcing, on spill, overlap, box, some of that stuff and whatnot. That's what we're talking about here. But at the end of the day, regardless of it, like it's a forcing defense, spill defense, whatever, like the point of attack linebacker or off-ball player, because that could be a nickel, a middle linebacker, and a safety, right? If we've only got one linebacker on the field or whatever it is, right? But the point of attack outside linebacker, it always downhill, like downhill immediately. Don't widen, don't allow them to like open space up. We saw this some last time, right? And then the middle and backside linebackers are off the ball type players are scrape and track, right? Scrape and track. A few principles real quick. Hey, if it's a down safety defense, then it's a forcing defense. The outside elements off the ball have got to get the ball turned back inside, right? If it's a cover two defense, then it's a penetrating spill defense. We showed this last time, like outside elements take away inside space. We've got a 9-man spacing. It's okay if theoretically, because it's not about gaps, it's about space, but it's okay if like an outside linebacker was downhill and went through the same technical gap or whatever that a D lineman did, but he took that cutback lane away / like made it bow and bounce, so to say. Like that's what we want. If it's a man defense, which would include fire zone, right? Like your man will take you to your fit. Your man will take you to your fit. Like the defense should be structured that way. Like I shouldn't have a run pass dilemma in terms of like where my man coverage is and where my gap is. Like that should not happen in the structure of the defense, right? Like I should naturally be able to be like, I'm standing on my man, there's my gap. I got the tight end, I'm in the C gap, right? Sort of thing. And then all defenses cover two included are technically one back, one gap, and one back formations. To a degree, I put this on there sometimes to like let the corners coaches and the corners know, hey, MFers, like the flat player has the outside most gap to any 3-man surface, like the D gap, including you, cloud corner. Like there's a D gap right there. Like who's got it? It's like you at the end of the day. Like don't stand out here chicken fighting this stock block, so to say, whatnot. Like, the outside linebacker is going to try to scrape the middle linebacker or the overlap player is going to, the middle reader, so to say, is going to try to overlap there. But in this cap safety is going to come down in cap force, but like that's your gap. 3 T's of stopping the run. This is more what we're getting into now. Tilts. So the 5 defensive line alignments. Take off, first get off wins, and technique, knockback, 6-inch power step, hit, lift, and drive. And so you'll see this when we get into the film is like we teach one technique in the run game. It allows us, like, we don't have to read and react. We don't have to process that, like, hey, this is a double, this is a this is this stimulus response, and this is how we're gonna do it. Just time on task, variance from like a guy that's older, a guy that's a starter, and then all of a sudden he goes down, he's ejected, he's hurt, whatever, and the backup, like the variance between these guys. And just in my opinion, for like teaching the full on stimulus response, holistic, defensive line play, you can create like that there could be some problems there, right? There can be some gaps there between what one guy can do and the next guy can do and the next guy can do in the here and now, versus saying like everybody can do this, coaching to the lowest common denominator. It's like one technique that's repeatable over and over and over again. And really what you're doing is adjusting yourself pre-snap based upon like our anticipation of who's blocking us, where the run's going, whatnot. And then the technique is built for maximum power. We all have different power, but power moves most efficiently in straight lines. And it's our ways that we are maximizing power on our and power production for every athlete, no matter who they are, at their ability and at their position. That's how you can see us get 245-pound outside linebackers reduced down into a 3 technique, but really aligned in a 4-eye because he knows outside zone or a down block is coming at him, and get knocked back and not just get tossed out of the club by an all-pro tackle. And you're like, how does that happen, right? Like, it happens because of this type of stuff that we show. The 5 defensive line alignments: shade, gap, eye, heads, and bird, right? So a shade. So what we mean by this as well too is like, we don't have a classic 3 technique. We don't have a 1 technique. We have an A gap player. We have a B gap player, say a C gap player, whatever. And where they are aligning within the space of that gap is based upon the anticipation of being on the front or back side of the run, whether we have a full line stunt coming towards them or not, those things. So a shade would be a tight, like, alignment, right? Like a classic, like tight, like a shade 3 technique would be like tight to the guard, classic. That gap would just be like nose in the middle of the gap. An eye, we all know what an eye is, right? On inside shade of the outside adjacent man. A heads is a head up alignment, right? So you're 0, 2, 4, 6. All right. And then bird, meaning like we ain't playing run right now. It's bird. So I may not be square to the line of scrimmage now as a 3 technique. I may be all of a sudden tilted. I may be wide and tilted out like a 4-eye because I'm trying to create space in pass rush, right? Or I may be down like tight because I'm trying to make them think I'm spiking, the guard spiking, and I'm going to deke step inside to get him to post inside, and then boom, get back on his short edge and beat him through the B gap sort of thing. Like I'm in my pass rush 3rd down mode right now because I know it's pass, even though say it's at 1st down. But these are the 5 alignments we teach. Shade tech, usually used when anticipating being on the backside of a run, right? So we've tightened down. We're just tightening towards the direction we're anticipating it going. So like we're thinking we're away from the tilt, or when we're stunting, right? Like we're going to step down, we're lying on the back outside shoulder tip of the man, and keying the inside man, keying the near shoulder tip, ball hand down, ball foot back. Like all the classic stuff for a shade technique, right? A gap technique is just a loose shade. An eye technique. So I want to, like, you'll see this on film, and I want to get this kind of like across from this standpoint. So an eye technique is it's a 3 technique, for instance, or a 1 technique that knows he's on the front side of the run. Front side of the run, like off tackle run, like front side of the run and front side of the tilt of the formation, overloaded formation. And so with that in mind, we are aligned in a 4-eye, but we are aligned in a 4-eye, and we may be keying. We're always going to be keying, say, the man we're aligned on, right? So we're keying the inside shoulder of, say, as a 4-eye, the tackle, but we are still in the stance and technique of a 3 technique. So we're still gap hand down, gap foot back. So inside hand down, inside foot back, so to say. We're stepping on track to that space. We don't know necessarily if it's going to be outside zone and that tackle's going to leave us and the guard's going to try to come scoop us, but he can't ever get to us because we're playing vertical and getting off and we're way out here wide. Or if it's going to be a, say, down block because it's some sort of pin and pull double team, so to say, and whatnot. But we don't want to have our feet reversed, right? And say it'd be outside zone and we're a 4-eye and we're stepping with our outside foot. And now we're kind of just trying to skate the guard who's able to widen us. No, we're stepping and meeting power with power and always stepping to our gap. Also, what helps us do it is if all of a sudden we're wrong, say like they run outside zone away from the tilt, the 4-eye or whatever shouldn't be. The eye technique is stepping towards his gap. Still, his initial step is with that. He should be able to like not get immediately scooped out of his gap. if all of a sudden we have that one timer where they're running opposite where we're anticipating.
I don't want to interrupt very often because you are fucking awesome. But Jeremy, pay attention to exactly what that was said right there. Go ahead.
Thanks. 3 types of 9 techniques. So coverage dictates the type of 9 technique you are. In terms of, like, at the end of the day, I think we all know this, like, coverage dictates the fit. Right? We can't say, okay, this is how we fit the run regardless of coverage. If you can do that in your defense, well, then you're only, yeah, I mean, you could do that in your defense if you're only playing an 8, like cover 3 and cover 1, right? But the concept is not right? Like, so I'm saying you could say, hey, this is how we're always going to fit the run in our defense, but the reason being is because you're always like having the same type of coverage, so to say, same type of man box, right? But if all of a sudden you're going to go from cover 3 to cover 4 to cover 2, right? Like you can't be fitting the run, so to say, at least especially on the perimeter is what I'm more talking about. Because like coverage dictates that, as we know. So we have an easy 9, and that's like cover 2, and an easy 9 is really a stunt 7. All right, easy 9 comes with cover 2 or like palms 2 read type coverage. The force player's out there and got the D gap. The force player's out wide. And so I'm aligned like a 9 trying to disguise, make you think I'm a 9, but I've really got C gap space type responsibility. So I'm like a stunt 7, so to say. But with all those bogeys we're showing, like we showed before last time, with all that down safety, but we're really busting out and playing cover 2. We're going to show we're in that same like bear spacing, your 9 techniques out here. But now that tight end doesn't know, the tight end's trying to come reach my shoulder, and he doesn't know, am I trying to force him or am I already going inside anyways? And now I'm just like Scott ass free through the C gap and going and blowing it up, right? But it's about where the secondary force player is at the end of the day. So easy 9. Like, not to get off topic, but like a lot of things in here, like that's kind of like a phonetic thing, and kind of, you say why an easy stunt. Like I've researched this in G-Dub's past and history and things like that, like in the language. The best I can come when I've talked to some of the really old D-line coaches, like way back in the day, and when I was a kid and before I was born in this system, it sounds like that initially it was an E to C stunt, right? An EC stunt. And at some point in time, it became an easy stunt. And somebody like in some QC in a book somewhere wrote it as an EASY stunt. And then it became an EZ stunt. But I believe initially it was an end to the C, an EC stunt. But like that's beside the point. And then the next one I kind of want to put right here would be like ultimate force. All right. So you'll see this a little bit on our defenses. So like our guys, our 9 techniques need to know when like we're in blitz man or fire zone. They are an ultimate force defender. So we don't do all this like crack replace shit. Like we're blitzing everybody, right? And that can be hard. Like we're blitzing everybody. And now the dude that's covering these guys is going to have to stay outside. We're going to let it's a clearly potential crackable formation and split. And we're going to have everybody blitzing up inside or off the backside or whatever. And we're going to have the 9 technique get cracked. And we're going to have these guys off the ball read, are these inside releases going, like, are they running mesh or are they coming in to crack off the ball players? Now all of a sudden these big ass dudes are pulling around, and I got to come off my man and come all those potential what ifs that would happen, where what we do instead is get into a non-crackable, non-pickable alignment. If we are blitzing and you are a 9 technique, like you're already blitzing, you're already going. They form a formation that is a crackable, pickable alignment. Get your ass outside of everybody and blitz outside everybody. And it causes like people really over the years, they just stop running, trying to run for the most part, toss crack at us. Because like they can't anticipate what we're in. We'd be in like some sort of 5-man pressure, bear say cover 1, and they're running toss crack, and the damn big outside linebacker gets outside of all these little wide receivers and just runs 45 degrees back there, and like it's tackling the running back right as the pitch is getting into his hands, or and whatnot. I mean, it's just blowing up like you can't get to those guys and whatnot. that's pretty much it. Because we talked about this last time. We're going to see this right now. I guess we'll hit this as well too, but like we talked about last time, like the midline technique. If you remember me showing that one snap of the defenseman blowing up the reverse because of like where his track is and where his eyes are. All the stuff's being recorded, and so you guys will be able to kind of have these screens. But I'm more than willing to email you guys like my this PowerPoint, this player manual after this as well too. And then I wanted to get into stunts because you're going to see this as well too. We're very particular about this as well too. When we're stunting one gap, when we're moving one gap, we are 45 degrees stepping and then get vertical and violent. We may not actually get to the gap across the face of the man, right? We may be stunting on the backside and they're running outside zone, and we at the end of the day end up going backside, so to say. But at least we're free. We're keeping from getting cut to the ground and cut out, and we're stunting through. And we just ended up, we were trying to stunt from the B gap to the A gap, but we went behind the guard butt side instead of front side. Or we may, or it may be a little bit more inside zone-ish in terms of the base scoop. And so we may be stepping that, but still on the backside. And we may be stepping down and getting almost like, because he's stepping down as well too. Say we're a 3 technique spiking, like down here. Imagine this guard is stepping down as well too on more of a base scoop track, and I'm stepping here, and I'm gonna go 45 degree and vertical. I may initially get more to a stunt into a 2 technique, but I'm knocking this son of a bitch back 2 yards in the backfield. And now as the ball winds back, if the ball does cut back to me, I'm just Xing off the block and blowing it up for a TFL in the A gap. Right. But we're not being lateral, real flat on the line of scrimmage. It's not about gaps. It's about space and knockback. And especially when you're stunting, like that's where I've found in times, like we didn't always do it this way. This was something that me and G-Dub down the line, especially when I got to like a couple places of coaching the D line, because I've coached it all, coaching the D line, got it handled and got this switched. But you don't want just the whole entire front to get washed, or you're real flat and they run into the stunt, and all of a sudden you get 2 gaps, like you go 2 gaps. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to stunt 1 gap, but I went real flat and they ran outside zone into the stunt, and the guy ended up going, it was supposed to be in the B gap and he went to the A gap and whatever, and there's like this huge hole and nothing's getting disrupted and all of that stuff. All right, so let me get to the film now on this. Any questions right now, you guys, with the stuff that I've just already talked about? Obviously, we haven't put the film up yet, but anything off the cuff right there? No? All right, what I'm gonna pull up right here is a cut up. I say it's a little cut up. It's 66 snaps. Like we probably won't get through everything, so to say. But I want to make this point though too, because it's like this isn't a highlight reel, right? So there's 66 snaps on here of all 0 or yard gain or tackles for losses runs. So like negative yardage gain runs. And those 66 plays have been pulled from only 8 games in the 2020 season. And those weren't even all the disrupted runs in those 8 games. So like it's not a highlight teaching clinic where I'm just showing you like the best examples. And sometimes like guys are not doing the right thing on there, but everybody else is doing the right thing. And it still ends up being a, TFL blown up play. We'll see. But moral of the story is like, this is what we do. This is what it looks like, right? We perfected this. G-Dub and I perfected this. So we were together for 6 years. Then we were apart for 6 years because I was a defensive coordinator at various different places. And then we got back together for the last 4 years of my career. And when we got back together, that's where kind of we perfected this. I've been doing a little bit of this in some colleges or pro teams that I've been coordinating at. G-Dub had been doing a little bit of it as well too, simultaneously. But when we got back together at the Browns, 2 years at the Browns and then 2 years at the Jets, kind of perfecting the tilts. And what the tilts was like, we're already bowmaning bossing with the off the ball players. Why aren't we doing this with the on the ball players as well too? And we were doing this on certain formations and certain fronts with the on-the-ball players. We were doing it with all formations, all coverages, all fronts, all whatever, with the off-the-ball players, Bowen and Boston, right? So it's like, why aren't we doing this? Why are these dudes behind the ball are Bowen and Boston? Because they know we're getting ready to run the ball over here, power or whatever, and we got this damn 3 technique in front of him that's down here in a tight shade getting K'd. Everybody off the ball knows they're running the ball that way and it's power. Like, why isn't this guy tied into it, right? Problem reframing. It's just kind of like, aha, yeah, holy shit. You know, I won a Super Bowl as an offensive line coach, right? So I've coached a lot of this stuff and built a lot of this stuff through the mind of offensive line, not even necessarily defensive line. The techniques, my 2 godfathers in defensive line play were Mike Waffle and Jim Washburn, right? Two pretty good mentors, right? Mike Waffle and Jim Washburn. So the technique in a lot of the drills and whatnot are Mike Waffle and Jim Washburn. But then from my experience as an offensive line coach, putting the tilt into it to make it even simpler, and eliminate some of the gray area or some of the what ifs on there. All right. But the last 4 years that G-Dub and I were together in the league, like, we had 500 of these. We had 500 combined in those 4 years, runs for 0 or negative yards, right? And so we're talking about like historic disruption. Let me get this off the screen. This thing's in the way on my screen. All right. All right, I think I'll do this to start with, just as we start hitting these concepts. I'll start with taco. All right. So classic formation families. All right. Can everybody see the film screen?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So formation families, and big picture, we kind of break it into about 5 families of formations. Well, I know we touched on this a little bit last time in the Tampa 2. All right. So we have what we call taco formations. Why? Because the check within a 4-man split front to those taco formations, taco is stands for tackling company. So it means like we've got some sort of a YY wing, a run bunch, those type of formations where they're getting ready. They're getting ready to run like pin and pull, power, toss crack, duo, those type of overloaded surface formations, right? And tackling company basically tells the 3 technique, get out to a 4-eye, the 2-eye to get down to a 1, all those type of things, like the 7 technique to get out to really a 9-eye in the crease and whatnot, and playing an eye technique off the wing. So that check is called taco. We eventually just made we said that's the taco family. All right. So we'll start with the taco family. What we're expecting in the taco family of runs of formations. Let me get it up here on the screen. Let me get it big. Is something off tackle. So first of all, run at the tilt. Let me go to the tight copy, right? So this is a classic YY wing. All right. So we're expecting them to run to the tilt, to the overloaded formation. Okay, over here to the right here. And we're expecting it to be something off tackle. A lot of it may be outside zone or down blocks. Right. So we're expecting it to be outside zone that direction or down block. So duo, power, pin and pull, right? Like those are the type of things we're talking about. So if we just said this front right here, our race front or our sprint front or whatever, our G front, right? Our split front. This guy right here, Quinnen Williams, would be a gap 3. He'd be a 3 technique. This guy would be a 2-eye. Like if this was just a base neutral formation. All right, here. This guy would be an easy to the C gap. All right, 9 technique that's really stunting in there. That's what it would be. Because of this formation, taco, 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 our 3 technique has become a 4-eye. But you can see his stance, like we talked about before, is still the stance of a gap 3 technique. He's just widened out. This 2-eye has come down here to a 1 technique. This easy, in this situation, the easy 9 is actually playing now a 9-eye technique. All right. He's at the end of the day, and this was another revelation, right? That I got changed over those last 4 years. Because we used to play this guy on a kind of a horizontal crash technique right through the crease. But it's this dude that's getting ready to cave him down, this wing right here, oftentimes. Like if they're getting ready to run duo, this guy right here, the defensive end's getting ready to get the same blocking combinations as his 4-eye is. If they're getting ready to run pin and pull right here, like this defensive end is getting ready to get the same blocking scheme. If they're getting ready to run outside zone, this defensive end is getting ready to get the exact same blocking scheme in the exact same space. Like the only difference is his time and distance away from the ball. How long it's going to take the ball to get to him, how long he's going to be potentially engaged with the block until that ball gets to him. But it's the exact same stimulus response. It's like, why are we not coaching the same alignment, same everything? All right. Big picture as well too. This dude, this defensive end, if this wing wasn't here, he would be 45 degrees. Like this guy is over here. He would be 45 degrees because he would be an external player on a forcing track. Now all of a sudden he's an internal gap player. I talked about this on the last one. He squares up and he plays vertical knockback like the exact same thing. All right. It honestly makes it easier as well too, because like when we're in certain speed fronts, and all of a sudden we got to get to bear technique, like bear alignment. Like this dude right here has got to condense down and play a 3 technique or a 4-eye. And it's same as. He's even when he has to do that, he's playing the same rules, the same technique, the same everything. Right. So what we're doing right here is we're actually playing cover 2. We're playing 2 robber. So this nickel out here is actually the overlap Mike player. These 2 guys are the 2 actually like having gap players. They've got a gap. Right, this safety's bogeying that he's down, but he's really about to bust out. So we're showing a post safety, a down safety. We're really about to just come out and play cover 2. So we've called stunt 52 robber right now. They've said taco, 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 rabbit, rabbit, rabbit. They've tilt adjusted, and then they've said hammer, hammer, hammer. They've made a hammer on the backside. So what we're trying to do in our stunt package is we are trying to tilt adjust on the front side of the run and get maximum force, not allow the play to expand, and knock back at the point of attack and disruption. And then we're trying to stunt the players, full line stunt on the backside through the cutback lanes. And we're trying to get the maximum amount of disruption in production done with those guys on the line of scrimmage. And now everybody else can play special teams behind them. So you'll see what we're talking about right here. So we've tilt adjusted. Quinnen right now, if we're looking at just the front side 4-eye, he's playing like it's not great technique, so to say, from the standpoint of like you see him, he's kind of stepping out a little bit, like he's over, you're already tilt adjusted, just step vertical. What his technique should be is foot, so his back foot, right, his down foot to hand, hand to target, foot to hand, hand to target. He's kind of stepping, he knows this down block's happening right now, and he's kind of overstepping out into it. But as you can see, it's about space, right? Like he's got the anticipation. He's the one that's actually moving with vertical knockback. Like the guard is being passive, trying to overtake him on this block right here. So like he gets the job done, right? Like it's about space. He's knocking the MFer back, and it's about space. Look at the 9-eye front side, the 9-eye technique now. He's doing the same thing. He's playing, he's like, look, he's not getting knocked around. Like he's maintaining his force. This is what we call playing anchor point defense. These guys, these internal gap players are our anchor points, right? So what we mean by that, watch a lot of teams and look at how far you want G-Dub to get pissed off. Like you want G-Dub to get pissed off. Have these anchor points all of a sudden start getting 4 and 5 yards from where they started the play to where they are at the end. So they're running outside zone this way, and this damn guy says, "I'm still in my gap, coach," but he's on the line of scrimmage and he's outside this damn hash. Like that's how you have problems happen. We don't have that happen. Like guys aren't moving more than 2 yards from like at max from like where their body like initially started at, unless they're like stunting, chasing on the backside. So we see how it works on the front side. On the backside, this is what I was talking about with 45 degrees and vertical. 45 degrees and vertical, right? So look at the defensive end on the backside, the 5 technique, the left defensive end. 45 degrees and vertical, right? So he's not just immediately ripping and running and getting washed, all right? Getting washed, because that doesn't do us any good if we're doing all this great shit on the front side and he's just getting washed down and this guy can just jump cut out the backside. That's not what we want. We want to get play side force and knockback, have the play not constrict, set anchor points and disruption on the front side. And then if we're stunting, we're running through the cutback lane. So it's 45 degrees and vertical, like we're building a wall, like here on the back side. It's not going to be able to get past us. And as we can see here at the end of the play, all 11 people getting in the end zone copy. So let's go to another clip right here in the taco family. Again, we're expecting something off tackle, outside zone, and or down blocks with pull schemes. Like that's what we're expecting. We're playing bear single right now, bear cover 1. All right, this is not perfect. There's some confusion going on right here because we are in 5 deep. We're an Okie defensive line. Like we're in a package that's got Okie defensive line in nickel DBs, and they're in what we would call 13G. They're in 13 personnel, and one of the tight ends is an eligible offensive lineman right here, right? And so again, like we said, your man should take you to your gap. Like we see, that's what number 30 is yelling right now, is like he's yelling, this is this dude right here. This is the YY wing. He's saying this guy is eligible and somebody needs to be over covering this guy and getting in that gap, right? So 34 is running around trying to find who he's got. Really, 34 should have this guy right here, sort of thing. So that's what's going on. But moral of the story is we can see again, this is bear defense, and we can see this 3 technique has widened out and he's playing a 4-eye. This is actually a defensive end that is reduced down in to the B gap, right, to get to Okie spacing right here, right? This is a defensive tackle. This is a defensive tackle. This is a defensive end. This is an outside linebacker right here. And we're getting to bear spacing. But moral story is, again, you see how we're tilt adjusted. It's very subtle, but I think you guys can see how this 0 technique he's shaded to this eye, this side of this center, because he knows what's getting ready to come right here. This 3 technique is playing in the gap right here, and he's actually trying to like kind of backdoor it. He's hoping that there's some sort of guard pull, center block back, where he's going to try to rip and run and almost like pass rush through the backside and backdoor it right there. So again, just looking at the front side tilt. All right, we got a defensive end down here against a Pro Bowl offensive tackle, right? And he's bitch slapping, right? Because he knows what's coming, right? He's in a position to not get caved on the down block. He's not playing a classic tight 3 technique, keying this guard steps down, I step down too, and this guy comes down and just kicks my ass, sort of thing. It's about space. So he's getting knocked back. The 0 technique knows that this double team's coming. He's cheated slightly to that side. It's playing with anticipation. So we're getting all that play side knockback. Look, nobody's getting moved, right? Look at all that penetration we're getting. Nobody's getting washed up inside. So there's just nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. I can't believe they try to bring this other tight end all the way back to block number 98. But that's, again, goes back to the midline technique that we talked about last time, where this guy's playing on his track. They're blocking us. We're not blocking them. And he's keying this. And he's playing on his track and making you come to me. This guy's actually getting tripped right here, if you see, because of the knockback, right? Because of the knockback. And so we're getting all this disruption done right here. Let's see one more in the taco family before we go to the next family. and we'll just kind of keep doing this throughout the couple families so we can see. All right, here, this is a run bunch right here. This is a run bunch, right? So we put this in the taco family as well. Like at the end of the day, this is nothing but an inverted YY wing right here. I think we can all see. Same thing. We're going to get duo, outside zone, toss crack out of this, right? So we've got a 4-eye. This guy right here still is playing a 9-eye. He stood up because he can. We allow him to do that type of stuff. They're outside linebacker type guys. Also trying to better play for like crack, right, toss crack, but he's still going to be playing the 9-eye, like getting vertical right here, 4-eye. All right. So here's outside zone, right? Outside zone. But look how, like with Quinnen Williams, for instance, front side right there. Like how hard that is for that guard. You're telling that guard that with no help, he's got to come reach this 4-eye that's getting vertical, that's playing pure vertical and getting knockback. This is what I was talking about when you watch Quinnen Williams right now, how we are a knockback 2-gap. Knockback 2-gap. And so what we're trying to do with our inside, like our anchor points, is we're trying to get knockback of 2+ yards. 2+ yards. What that allows us to do is, like, when you can do that, that's gonna make the running back bow and bounce. If you're on the backside and you're doing that and getting that 2 yards, it's playing what Mike Waffle used to call the here kitty kitty technique on the backside, but what you're doing is you're basically creating walls on the backside. When this guy all of a sudden says shit and has to jump back, same thing. If I can get 2 yards, knock his heels 2 yards back from where it started, right? So 3 yards back from the initial line of scrimmage, and I'm 2 yards up right here. When this guy all of a sudden has to, oh shit, cut back because of what this dude's doing, well, I'm right there in the cutback lane. It's not like he can cut back flat all the way and wind back out the backside. He's got to cut back to me, and he gets blown up by me, or he's got to now 360 and lose ground to gain ground, and this dude's going to be right there tackling him. This guy's going to be falling back. The whole cavalry, all right? Everybody, the other forces behind the tip of the spear, right, are going to be rallying like we're playing special teams. I wish I had the film. I don't have the film, but I got this from Mike Waffle. So we are blue boxes. So we have this painted in our defensive line drills, like, so where we have these boxes, right, that there's this initial 2-yard box right here, and then there's a 4-yard box, right? So imagine like it's a box 2 yards deep, 4 yards deep, and then so we'll do these pods, little pods, even bone on bone, flesh on flesh, like self-servicing ourselves, but doing these techniques. I'll have a D lineman or an outside linebacker playing this running back. I'll be playing the quarterback or whatever. Maybe I'll have 2 guys right here, other defensive tackles servicing this guy, and the lines are built for that, right? So we're trying to see, are we getting that initial 2-yard knockback of what we're talking about right there? And so then when we're doing that, like, we can see, and we can visually see that as like kind of training wheels for the technique, and we can kind of see how like part whole we'll do this and drill this with those guys in individual every day. We're getting it's about space. All right. So this guy's like, he's not trying to just stay in this gap. It's his track. He's getting vertical through this space, as we can see right here in slow-mo, right? It's not about gaps. Like, he started out here in the D gap, if we want to call it that, right? Now he's in the C gap, but no, he's getting vertical, violent, and he's building a wall. He's not allowing the play to expand. All right. That allows Quinnen Williams to get this knockback like this. And it's about space, right? It just becomes a pile of bodies. There's no space for the guy to do it right here. He's got to cut back, which allows Quinnen Williams to then X off, all right, and play violent two gap defense, so to say, as we can see right here. And everybody else off the ball, all right, play special teams. All right, play to daylight. You can see 46 can backdoor it in here, playing the daylight. So any questions right now on like Taco Family and getting the initial visual of tilts? Any questions right now on that before I go to kind of the next formation family, so I can get things kind of taught like conceptually right now? Anything on Taco formation or anything that we've already looked at? Any guys? Okay. Then let me go to I will go to neutral formations right now. All right, neutral formations. So a neutral formation would be like ace, like so quarter or dot, one back. Right, so it's one back. It could be 11 personnel, it could be 12 personnel, it could be 10 personnel, whatever, but it's one back and it's a balanced formation. Could be 2x2, 3x1. We're talking about more when we're talking about tilts, like the core of the formation. So as we can see right now, like this is a neutral tilt. It's the same thing on one side as the other. Before we had the Taco family, if 87 was over here, that would be a tilted formation. All right, and we're playing to the tilt. If that makes sense, I think we're all getting it right there. This is a neutral formation. Sometimes, just not getting ahead of us, right? Like you will see us tilt adjust to this formation if we know they have a stud tight end, or we can hear their code words that they're saying up there, and we know they're running a certain direction. Like we will tilt that way, right? And so we're playing the scouting report, and we're playing the cookie cutterness of the NFL or whatever league we're in of the formation. But if you will tell us something, if you will, it's all about anticipation, right? And so like if you will, I teach our players the language of what the offense is doing as well too. So there'll be times like that we would play this, say, as a tilted formation if we know the direction they're running or the stud tight end. All right, we saw this one on the last time, right? So it's a neutral formation. They could be running either direction. We don't necessarily know what they're running. The stunt for this is jaws if we're playing stunt. So the stunt for the other one was hammer, because we knew there was a tilted formation. So we're tilting on the front side, stunting on the back side. This is a neutral formation, so we're just canceling all gaps, all internal gaps, A's and B gaps with the jaws stunt. So GW is the huddle call has just been stunt two. Actually, the huddle call was down stunt two. We're showing 0 with the safeties, down stunt two. All right, and now they've established rabbit. They've seen the formation family as being a ace neutral formation, so they know jaws is the stunt for that one. We can watch the technique up front. Everybody should be going 40. Everybody that's stunting should be 45 degrees in vertical. 45 degrees in vertical. So like, let's look at the 3 technique first. Again, same thing. Like that's a defensive end. This is an outside linebacker. We got one defensive tackle on the field, but we're kicking people's asses because of the technique we're teaching is for maximum power, no matter who the athlete is. Maximal anticipation and maximum power. And so like, let's look at the technique of 45 degrees in vertical with this 3 technique front side right here. 45 degrees and now vertical. Look at that knockback. Get vertical and I can redirect now to the play. There's nowhere to run right now. All right. Look at the defensive end on the front side right here. The front side defensive end. 45 degrees and vertical. So look how fast he gets vertical right here. 45 degrees and vertical. So look at that knockback that he's getting. He's taken 2. Great job by this outside linebacker playing downhill. He knows that the jaws is going on in front of him, so he knows his gap or the space of his lane, the space of his track has moved from the A gap to the C gap right here. But again, he's going downhill, so there's nowhere to run. We're getting this maximum knockback. On the back side right here, let's look at this guy, 45 degrees vertical. He has the B gap. But he's on the back side right now. He's not getting to it initially, but there is no B gap. I've got to have my body in it or his body in it, right? So his body is in it. The space is closed off, and I'm not being really flat though and getting washed. And I'm taking two guys. So, right, I'm taking two guys. There's nobody getting up to these dudes. Nobody getting up to these dudes. You can't run it in the A and B gaps. The guy's having to bow and bounce. You can't get up to these guys. And now we've got these three dudes just unblocked. And 11 dudes, again, technique, anticipation, communication, all those things we're talking about. It's beautiful. It's fine and dandy, but you better be coaching the effort as well too. 11 dudes in the end zone picture. Let's look at this one. This one's 11 personnel right now. This one's 11 personnel, but it's an ace neutral formation. An ace neutral formation right here. All right. And so the base alignment is a 3 technique, a gap 3 and a 2-eye. That's what I said before. If this was a tilted formation, like a taco formation, this guy would become a 4-eye. This guy would become a 1. If, say there was like a fullback, this was 21 personnel and it was far eye, right? So the stud tight end, we're setting it close to the tight end, but the tilt of the formations over here, far eye, this guy would become a tight 3, and this guy would still stay like maybe a little bit wider 2-eye. They're just moving. The anchor points are moving to the tilt of the formation. Now, this happens late, and you can see this happen. All right, so this became a tilt of the formation. It's too late for our defensive linemen to move, but you can see everybody off the ball using this. This is what we call a Z find, right? And so our defense, especially the way we play with our bogeys and the way we play with our 9 techniques and everything, and therefore getting like our down safeties, using them like an outside linebacker and having them be C-gap players. There's a lot of run schemes, right? Especially in the NFL, that instead of like, if they're not going to throw an RPO or whatever, they've got to do a Z find. They've got to bring the wide receiver down into account for and block that guy, right? They're saying we can't crack him. We're not going to be able to get to him. You got to come down here and block him. And it's beautiful because it tells us it's run. It tells us that you're running the ball right here. It tells us the snap count, right? Because we're using the motion as a snap count. And so you can see this middle linebacker, and you can see the safety. Like, we're playing cover 3 right now, and it looks like they're getting ready to blitz. They are blitzing because they're blitzing the point of attack. Like, they know what's getting ready to happen right here. And we're eliminating putting this guy down here. Like, we don't play really over front anymore. We're eliminating putting this dude down here in a 6-eye, right, technique, and having this guy play off the ball, read and react, force. And he's playing primary and secondary force, 4x4, and getting cracked. And now you got crack replaced. Like, all of that stuff, just us playing this guy as a 9 technique and this guy as a cap C-gap player, like makes the offense define themselves way more, and it eliminates a lot of the perimeter issues. It also allows us to play with, say, like, superior athletes on the edge, pass rushers, guys that can play read option, guys that are 4.5. This guy's a 4.53, right? With a 38-inch vertical at 255 pounds, Bryce Huff, right? Like, allows us to play with those dudes, a little bit better. So some great techniques going on right here. Let's start at the front right here. Force technique. Let's start looking at the force technique right here. All right, what we talked about before. 45 degrees, keen outside shoulder, inside foot back, not outside foot back. Inside foot back, we're meeting power with power, and we are not going to allow the play to expand more than 2 steps. We're trying to get knocked back, not allow the play to expand. Quinnen Williams is a brilliant man. You're going to see Quinnen Williams all over this stuff. He's a freak athlete. As freak athlete as he is, and he talks with that Alabama drawl and whatnot, what a lot of people don't realize is how super intelligent Quinnen is. Like, Quinnen is brilliant. There's a lot of stuff that we did that Quinnen, even as a rookie, was telling like 12-year vets. Like, he was making the stunt calls, the tilt calls, telling people what was going on. He's a smart man. Quinnen sees this Z find right here, and he ends up kind of stepping into a 4-eye because he knows what's getting ready to happen right now. right? And so it's like all those little nuances where we're teaching the concepts of the guys of both, like of all of this stuff that we're doing. It's about anticipation in space. So Quinton, that's what I'm talking about. See how Quinton Williams steps into this down block that he knows is coming because he knows this Z find, the safety's yelling it. He knows this Z find is coming, and they just turn this neutral formation into a tilt at the last second. And he takes the angle away from the down block. The safety's down here blowing it up. Like there's just the puller can't get around. There's no expansion of space on the front side. There's nowhere for it to go. Nowhere for it to go. And 11 people in the end zone copy. This one's another Jaws one. We'll skip past that one because we've already seen. We'll come back to, and we saw it in the last one. This one, I guess, is another Jaws one. Let's see if we had some sort of let's see what this first one is that says whack track right here. This will probably be a good one. So whack track. So whack track, this will lead us into another good discussion. I'm going to be able to clip out, and we're going to be able to look. This is actually a bet. This is not, we'll look at this one later, right? Because he actually doesn't do the whack track and whatnot. We'll just watch it right now, and then we'll talk about whack track later. So this is a neutral formation, but this is why I had this one on that I wanted to show. Can you guys see this? Yeah. Guys, are you still on? Guys still on?
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah,
Good.
you're good to go.
We got it.
Yep, neutral formation. Jeremy, what do you notice about 94, the left defensive, the left three technique? Is Jeremy still on here? Or anybody?
Not a 3,
Yes.
4-eye.
He's a 4-eye, right? And so something's up. Right, this is a divisional opponent. We know what's going on. So this is a neutral formation, but he knows it's run that direction. And so he's playing it as a tilt. Now, that could happen in the game, right? Because we'll tell those guys that, like, hey, we listen to the TV copies. Maybe we've coached with their offensive line coaches before. They're a divisional opponent. We're playing them twice a year. Like, all this information that we have as well, too. So we'll tell them that, hey, like, if they say duo, or deuce, those are their double team terms for a B gap player, a 3 technique. If they say tag, like that's their tackle and guard, like that's their pin and pull word for tackle blocking down, front side guard pulling around, right? And so at times we give them license to do that, and we play that, and I'll walk through that throughout the week where I'll present them maybe a neutral formation, and they'll line up in the middle of the gap, and then I'll say, as they're getting in their stance, I'll say like, hey, duo, deuce, or whatever, and I'll just see if they adjust out to a 4-eye or not, right? And I'm trying to teach this and ingrain this into them and tell them that, like, you're able to do this, right? It's all about anticipation. It's all about anticipation. Like, that's what we're doing here. So he has tilt adjusted in a neutral formation because it's not neutral anymore. He knows what they're running, where they're running, and who's blocking him. And as you see, he's right. He knew that they were running the ball that direction, and it was a double team. And so again, you guys heard me talk about this before. The classic teaching of double teams, on how we're going to play a double team from a tight 3 technique, and we're going to split the gap, we're going to get skinny in the gap, we're going to go down to a knee, we're going to flip our hips, all those type of things. I don't care how good the defensive tackle is compared to how good or bad the offensive linemen are going against them, and I don't care how good you are as a defensive line coach. What I'm about to say will always hold true. The number one way, the best and most efficient way to defeat a double team is make it a freaking single team. Let me say that again. The number one way to beat a double team is to make it a single team, not play 2-on-1 football. Period. That's in pass protection, on how if you got the turn, if you got the double team, like, you got to get them on different levels. You got to attack one of the man and bull him back, whatever, you know what I mean? But not just try to rush through 2 guys. And same thing here. So in, like, playing a 4-eye to a double team is exactly the opposite of what they want, right? They want you down on the guard. They want you stepping down. And allowing the tackle to just come down and cave you. They don't want you out here in the space of it and having the guard have to try to step out to get a piece of you and allow the run through. So, okay, screw it. I've just got to step down and make it now a single team. And oh, by the way, like you got advantageous angles on the down block because you're making it a board drill, right? Like that's what we're doing. So that's what you see here with 94. All right, I'll go to the whack track immediately right here. I'll actually pull this up to talk about this because it's a good time to talk about this. So what we teach on our whack track. So I know, hey, are we like all you guys experience this? What are we going to do when our guys get free access to pullers? Our defensive edge players get free access to pullers. Are we going to play dent technique? Are we going to play spill technique? Are we going to, at the end of the day, all that stuff's going 1-for-1, and we're trying not to go 1-for-1 and play 1-for-1 football. First of all, like that's not what we're doing. Second of all, like what we teach is whack track. So even if we're going to cut the people, we don't want to just go 1-for-1. So what whack track means is really, the other way that I say it is we're going bowling for bodies. We're going bowling for bodies. What we are trying to do is attack on our track, and we got free access to pullers, and what they should do is they should try to line up their cut. And even if they don't, sometimes they actually don't even get the puller. They're trying to go and whack through the like outside leg of the puller into the running back. So whack track is I'm attacking on my track, and then I'm trying to angle my whack. I'm trying to angle my cut of the pullers to and through the running back, if that makes sense, right? So I'm trying to go bowling for bodies, all right? I'm trying to bowling for bodies, get them stacked up on an angle, and so I'm not keying the blocker and whacking the blocker. I'm trying to whack into the guy. So again, like I said, sometimes we end up actually like whiffing, so to say, the puller, and full on though flipping the running back, because it's about the running back. We're trying to disrupt and take out the running back. So the way this should work, and I'll show the whole whack track cut up right now here in a second. The way this should work is we got great technique and knockback here on the front side, and nothing's moving. If 47 just is in perfect position right now to just go cut through, there's no space right here. There's no space because there's no divide and conquer. What the offense wants is these guys right here, 46 and 94, to get washed and be way over here, and this guy to get kicked out, and there to be a big seam right here for this guy to just press and run on his track. Well, we've gotten knockback. You have not moved us. We're sitting on the train track right here. Now whack through that and go take them all out. Go take them all out, or make the running back like jump in the air over top of us. And by the time he lands, 35 and 44 are going to be smoking him. Right.
All right, so Blake, listen to me. I got my entire staff on the thing. We played 12 motherfucking games and never did it once. So I want them to make sure they understand how the fuck we do this, because we didn't do it one time in 12 fucking games.
So that's, so I'm going right to this right next. So we can see the issue here. Everybody's doing it perfectly. 47, who I love to death and is a stud and a star and going to continue to be a star this year. And he's an undrafted rookie that I had to fight to get on this roster right here. And this is some of his first playing experience in the NFL right here. And he's getting unblocked, and he's worried about Cam Newton. He'd already given up a read option earlier in the game from shotgun. And so he's just in his head a little bit right now. So he's like, oh, I'm playing QCBR technique. I don't know what's going on right now. And you can see right after the play, you can see he's like doing the old one clap, like son of a bitch. He knew what he should have done. And he got to doing it really well. But we could see how this would have all been handled. But when it's not handled properly, the issues that can happen right there. So let me pull up like the whack track stuff and have that little conversation right now. So we're going to see it done properly. We're going to see it done improperly. Obviously, we just saw it totally done improperly, right? On that first one right there. So these are all things that I've pulled out as like whack track or whack track potential plays. And we can talk some tilts and stuff like that while we're doing things as well too. All right. So this right here is we are playing this guy as a tilt right now. We're playing this as like a 20 personnel. So this is actually near eye. That's why you can see like we're out here in a 4-eye technique down here and cheated down towards the gap right here. Again, this is a defensive end. We're in a speed, like this is a defensive end playing the A gap right here. And he was a stud. He was number 3 in the entire for defensive tackles that year in the NFL in 2020, and we weren't as good in 2020 against the run, not anywhere near as good as we were in 2019. But in 2020, we had the top 4 interior players in the entire NFL in total amount of disrupted runs, right? So 0 or negative yard runs, right? We had the top 4. And one of them got traded from our team in the middle of the year, our captain, right? And whatnot. But we had the top 4. And this guy right here was a defensive end, an edge player, Henry Anderson, 6'7", 278 pounds, right? And he was number 3 in the entire NFL, though, on TFLs as a defensive tackle, right? And he was a backup defensive end and a backup defensive tackle, right? And so that allows us to get superior athletes and speed on the field and have them still be able to do these things. Like when you got smart, tough players and you're playing with anticipation and all stuff like that. But again, so we're playing this as a tilt on the front side, like a near eye, all right, situation. We know this is the tilt, so we see all those things. So look at Quinnen Williams right here on the front side. First of all, like getting just absolutely, I mean, it's just, he's tossing the motherfucker out of the club, right? Like you're not going to come reach me. I'm going to toss you out of the club. Like just to get your head across the bow, you've got to go so flat and have no power that I'm just going to toss you and be able to play violent 2 gap right there. So that's what we see on the backside right here. We are stunting, right? We're running a stunt on the backside right here, right? A blitz and a stunt. 93, that is whack track. That is whack track. I am whacking on my track, and he was really good at it. You're going to see him doing this a lot. So we see a lot of great things happening right here. We see the force, right? That the play is absolutely not expanding, right? The play can't expand. So therefore, everything else we're doing, it all starts with this. This is why this was number 1 on the list on priority of operations on football. All right. We're playing football, not fitball. Quinnen Williams, if you allow the force to be skated, guys, if you allow this guy to get tossed out of the frame right here, then what Quinnen Williams is doing is going to become a problem. Because he is playing space and knockback. He's not staying purely on this side of the man. And if this guy just gets ejected and tossed out of the club, Quinnen Williams can bitch slap this guy, and this guy could still run right through that B gap. But when this guy does not allow the force of the core of the formation to expand more than 2 yards, then now we can just play vertical knockback and it be about space, because it's just going to be like an accordion, right? It's just going to be like a compression of space and a pile of bodies. And we can teach the technique that we teach with tilts and knockback because we're handling force properly. So we get force, tilt, knockback, backside run throughs, great whack track right there. Fumble, ball out. Good one right here. Here's another one right now. All right. So, okay, this is a neutral formation. All right, this is a neutral formation. We can clearly see right now, though, that we know, again, New England Patriots, that this is a tilted formation. So we're playing it tilted. We're out here in a 4-eye because we know they're running the ball this direction. What we're running right here is 46 2 roll. We call it tarantula closed 22. So we're running 46 defense and we're running Tampa 2 roll. So you're going to see this safety out here, right? This is the 46 defense. The 46 defense used to have the safety right here and this linebacker, outside linebacker right here. So 2 outside linebackers, a Mike linebacker, and this was the strong safety. But then you had to teach the strong safety, right? All of the triangle reads and gap fits and all that type of stuff of an inside linebacker. And what we kind of did at the Saints, G-Dub and I did at the Saints, was when we started doing this a lot, was we took Roman Harper and we just said like, like the safety is way more used to playing on the perimeter and doing all those things on the perimeter and blitzing off the perimeter. It's just, so let's just do the 46 stuff and have him replace the jack and the will stay the will. And like, now it's way easier to do, less like cross teaching that has to go on. And oh, by the way, the offense still identifies that safety as a down safety, and so they like bring a wide receiver in to try to like block him, and or they just don't account for him, sort of thing and whatnot, like because of the way that they're conceptualizing the defense, and it causes some issues on the perimeter and whatnot. But okay, so moral of the story is we're playing this as a tilt. This guy is playing an easy 9 technique, because this is the force player right here, the secondary force player. So he's pretending he's a 9 technique, inviting the overreach, but he's actually stunt stepping 45-degree vertical. He's playing this C gap right here. And so you can see, boom, the issues that creates, like, for them. Great job with the easy 9. Great job with the tilt-adjusted 4-eye on the front side. Now watch, really good job by the safety right here. He is doing a great job of bowling for bodies. He's not stutter stepping right now because he really doesn't. He's not stutter stepping right now. Sorry, there was some feedback there, because he's soft or he's scared. What he's trying to do is get the tracks lined up. He's trying to get the tracks lined up so he can whack through the outside of the first man into the running back. He's trying to go bowling for bodies. And that's what you see him do right there. And he actually does it standing up and creates a fumble. But we're not going 1-for-1. And it's about the track of the play. So he's whacking through the outside leg on free access to pullers or backfield blockers. He's whacking the track of the play, the track of the running back. That's a great job right there. Some people that teach spill, right? Like you said, okay, well, that's fine, but we got to spill on the play. Well, now you're not going to get the running back. And you say, but we have to do that because, say, like, we got to spill it out to these people, right? We will whack track. So we will whack with kind of a forcing angle on the outside leg, even in cover 2, which is a spill defense, because let me go back to this and show this one more time. The reason we can do this, because of how we're playing the knockback and the anchor points and tilts, because we're not getting washed and we're getting knockback, like, it would be really hard. I think we can all see this. Motherfucker. It would be really hard for 32 right here to get underneath and spill this fullback anyways, because there's no space there, because we're not getting washed and we're getting knocked back. So we can, even in a spilling defense, so to say, we can still whack track, and it just plays out so well for us and whatnot, because there's no space to run inside right here, and we can go whack track. So another great example of it. Let's see what we got here. This is the one that we saw just a second ago, right? So now we can go back and watch it with new eyes again. And seeing what 47's seeing. 47's seeing too much. He's seeing this guy that came over in motion. He's thinking, am I getting ready to get cracked by this receiver? Oh, is it getting ready to be boot? Is it getting ready to be whatever? Oh. And then he doesn't whack. And now we got an issue right there. All right, let's see this one. All right, we got, okay, here's some good stuff going on right here. This is gun right here. We're in gun, still getting the same stuff. So we can talk about a couple things right here. Whack track on the front side. So this would be like dent technique. So hey, 98's putting his face in there. He's kicking this block's ass, all that stuff, but he's going 1-for-1 at the end of the day. He's right. He's going 1-for-1 at the end of the day. That's not what we want. So what we would want him to do right here at that same point in time is just take that and go through and kind of like cut vertically, cut through that outside shin, but kind of cut vertically, building a wall. And he would have gotten him and the running back. And then look what Quinnen Williams is doing on the backside. Exactly what we teach when you're going to try to go center, block, back, guard, pull on our 3 techniques, our 4 eyes, how we teach it. Like, we're going to rip and run and try to pass rush on the backside, right? Like you've seen, all you guys have seen for years. We taught him how to do it, but Aaron Donald do this, right? And Quinnen Williams do this, and all of our great 3 techniques do this. But there ain't no way you're going to stop Quinnen Williams from getting through on the backside. He should still like finish this tackle. But like if 98 would have tracked through this right now, like that'd just be a pile of bodies right here. Be a pile of bodies. Instead, he doesn't. Like, we still get out there and make it as a TFL, but it should have all been down. Like, there's pullers getting around that never should have gotten around and whatnot. So this is a good one to see again about, like, hey, the dent technique is being executed perfectly right here, but that's not what we teach. It's not what we want. We would want to go bowling for bodies right now. And disrupt all of that and have way more free hitters. And again, 11 guys in the end zone copy at the end of the play. There's another one right here. We're in pistol, but we're playing it as a tilt, right? Like, so we know where they're running the ball to right now. You see us stunting out here to a 4-eye, stepping out here to that. Okay, here's whack track. There we go. Now, what I would like 948 to do right here is like, he's just passive about it. Okay. You see how he's kind of stutter stopping and he kind of just, he's cutting at the ground. I like, if I was picking on him right now, like he's cutting at the ground. He's not cutting with force. Like if he would have just cut more out, like not down, but out, like he may have even got less of a piece of 67, but he would have gotten all 3 of these dudes. But at least he's whack tracking. So again, let's see how it works. We're tilt adjusted for anticipation. So we're getting no wash and we're getting max knockback. Which does not allow for, like, we pick off a lot of pullers with our tilt adjusted anchor points and knockback, or we make teams like have to passively pull where they have to bow so much. And what happens a lot of times as well too, because we do that, like, you see how much, does everybody see how much this guy's cheated back off the ball? Like, we make teams tip that they're pulling. So we'll yell like duck, 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 goose, 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 duck for a tackle pull, goose for a guard pull. So like these guys will be yelling, like Quinnen will be yelling back to like the front side right here. Hey, goose, 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 like pre-snap, this guy's getting ready to pull. The offense is having to do this stuff and tip and tell us even more because of the way we play. They're not able to do it with disguise and do it as flat as they want to do it versus every other team, because we don't allow them to do it. And again, we've taught this stuff and built this stuff through the mindset of offense and offensive coaching and offensive tracks and offensive line technique, not through defensive line technique. So we get this knockback. We're kind of picking off pullers here. Like, it's a pile of bodies, him just go whack track right here. Now, at least he whack tracks on the correct side, and he makes this puller and this running back jump over them, like stop their feet and jump over them. And by that point in time, like and bounce, so to say. And by that point in time, like, everybody else has time and distance to just run and beat them to the point, and 11 guys in the end zone copy and whatnot. So not perfect right there, but we're seeing the principles of what we're teaching. All right, here's another example, another one right here. All right, now it's being done with an off the ball player. So, not to get off topic right here, and we'll show this stunt here when I switch back to the tilts. This is a formation family, right? So we said taco, we said ace neutral, like those are the ones we've already talked about. The gun formation family is, in gun, we talk about what is the surface away from the offset running back. Is it a 2-man surface, or is it a 3 or more man surface? When it's a 3 or more man surface away from the offset running back, in at least the NFL and professional leagues, you are getting a high tendency of pull schemes. We know they're running the ball opposite the running back. They built a 3 or more man surface over here in order to run pull schemes, right? And the adjustment to that would be duo. So you're still getting down blocks and double teams, whether there's a pull or not, right? And whatnot. So the stunt that for us, because we set our over front to the offset running back and gun, the stunt for us in this formation family would be a tops, which is a tackle opposite stunt. So we would be flipping the script on them, knowing that they're pulling over here. So we would get out here, play a 9 technique, and this guy would stunt to a 4-eye, and this guy would stunt down here to like a 1 technique right here. He is yelling tops. I was hot pissed on the sideline after this. There was a lot of stuff bullshit going on in this game with like both assistant coaches and players doing some toxic stuff behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, behind the scenes. On like, oh, we don't understand tops. We don't get when we're calling it, when we're not calling it. And just shut the fuck up. Like, this is the 24th game that we're doing this. Like, and we're the best in the world at doing this, and we do it week on, week out. Like, don't do that chicken shit stuff, like toxic stuff. So these dudes back here have no idea what's going on. That's why we're doing all this shit, because we're handling it as a defensive line. They have no idea what's going on. This guy just got signed off the streets 2 days before the game. So he's yelling tops. These guys are waving him off because these guys are telling him, and their coaches are telling them to stop doing it. Like, we don't want that happy horse shit. But here it is, the pull scheme. Do what?
That was the shittiest kiss ever.
So we can see now, like, we're not getting the top stunt like we would want to right here. But at the end of the day, right now, like going back to just whack track. Whack track.
She looks like me. She's you.
Hey guys, somebody's mic's on right now talking. So this is the whack track with the DB again. He's coming down and playing whack track. And so he's getting them lined up so that he can go bowling for bodies and try to get all of them.
Hey, Blake, I got a quick question.
Yep.
When you get that toxic type situation, and it happens a lot, or shouldn't happen a lot, but it does.
Right.
Who's got the final call here? Like, because you got linebackers saying no tops, and you got a defensive end saying top. Who's the boss?
So G-Dub is the boss. The defensive coordinator is the boss.
I mean,
yeah.
But right now,
right now, it should be the middle linebacker. We didn't have a middle linebacker. So we did things differently there, right? So like CJ Mosley went down, then the first game of the first year, and then CJ Mosley opted out during the COVID year, the next year. And then other guys get injured and go down. Like, we got no middle linebacker. We've got nobody who can functionally make all those calls, make all those checks and whatnot. But we had some really good, smart outside linebackers and D linemen, and I was coaching the D linemen and outside linebackers instead of coaching the linebackers at the time. So we got it done differently through them. So it's supposed to be this guy, and he's the one doing it. All right. And then you get to the sideline, like we topsed a bunch. You'll see, like when I get to the tops, I'll show you a couple topses that we did. Like, this is the 6th play of the game. This is something that they've done. Like in the locker room before the game, or in the hotel the night before the game. Like, there's some cute little contract they've come up with. And so this is the opening drive of the game. And I'm over here like, what the hell's going on? And I can kind of see the stairs and whatnot. And it's like, okay, we'll get this handled real quick, and so get G-Dub involved. G-Dub gets it cleaned up on the sideline, say, do what you're supposed to do. And then you see his tops multiple times through the rest of the game, and having the defensive tackles that are topsing, like blowing it up in the backfield for 3-yard losses. And whatnot, right? And like, it was just one of those things, one of those times, like, just people getting their panties in the wads that, okay, the linebackers have always made these stunts historically, like in our defense. And it's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. We don't have anybody that can do it right now. Like, we've shown that you guys are those human beings have proven that if we make them make the stunts, they will stand there with their thumb in their butt and not make the stunt call. And so, like, and we've seen that happen game after game. Can't do that anymore. Like, so somebody else has to like we had a problem reframe, we got a paradigm reframe, you know, and whatnot. Like we'll get it done some other way, but it's got to happen. And we're bad coaches for continuing to ask somebody that doesn't feel comfortable doing it and can't do it, but has to play and is a good player if he doesn't have to do any of that stuff. Like we're bad coaches for continuing to let that happen. Like get it done. And so at this point in time, it was supposed to be the outside linebackers right here, and that's who was making the call. But again, another good whack track.
Thank you.
So there's whack track. I got more of them, but we'll go. I want to actually show, since we kind of talked about it a little bit. I'll show the top stunt. And I wanted to make that point because, again, I said, like, on what we just made the point on, not to air out dirty laundry, but to let it know, like, we all have those issues, right? Like, we are the number one like the year before, in 2019, we were the number one, like, statistical, so to say, like, run defense in the history of the New York Jets. Think about how many great defenses they've had, right, over the time, with Rex Ryan and then Buddy Ryan before him. We were the number one run defense in the history of the New York Jets, and the number two run defense from all the advanced metrics, all right, like Football Outsider metrics, in the history of the game. And we're still having, and by doing exactly this, now this is year 2, and we're still dominating, but you're having some of this stuff go on as well too, where it's like, guys, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like we're the number one in the world by doing this. Like, what are we doing right now? Like, let's be honest, right? So, like, here, I'll put this up on the screen right now. This is, that previous one was play 6 of the game. This is play 17 of the game. This is play 17 of the game. So, like, the next drive, or maybe the next drive after that, same formation, same situation right here. We say tops, right? Same guy on the front side that waved it off before. We've got that defensive end. Remember that defensive end that I told you he's in playing here now? Again, we're in a speed defense right now and whatnot, but we get tops. Watch this defensive end check whoop ass here on the backside. Oh, you mean it looks pretty? It looks nice? Oh, you mean like it doesn't, like, the way our top stun is meant to be handled, frankly, is this guy, and this guy. These 3 guys are going to blow up the run. They're going to handle it. Allowing the other people off the ball to be able to say slow play and be able to, like, even hang in these windows for RPOs, because we know the RPOs that usually come with these are like inside breaking RPOs. They're trying to get this guy to fast flow to the pull. And if he does, throw the inside breaking. Well, now he doesn't have to fast flow. He can pat, and sit, because we're front side stunting. And so the quarterback has to hand the ball off, because his read, second level read on the RPO, these guys are telling him don't throw it. We're trying to trick them. We're indoctrinating them. We're making them run it to where we want to run it, and blowing up and getting a lot done with these 3. And then if they don't blow it up and make the play themselves, well, by that point in time, the ball's clearly handed off, and everybody else just rallies to it and tackles it for a TFL. But, like, that's the big picture of why we're doing it. The anticipation. So the stunt that comes with our 4-man front on this formation family, which is gun offset away from a 3 or more man surface, and we're playing for the pulls and the down blocks. And there's a whack track right here. There's a whack track. Good job of it. And you can see he kind of gets the puller, and a great job on the top stunt. They got 6 guys blocking, and we got 3 guys really making the play, like on 6 dudes. I think I had another one in here. Again, I said, so I said, like, formation family wise, the things you're getting from gun far away from a 3 or more man surface are kind of the type of things that you're getting. It's the type of things you're getting from ace taco formations, just kind of in reverse. Like, ace taco formations, you're getting more zone blocking, outside zone, and duo. And then secondarily, you're getting the pull schemes over there. Gun far away from a 3-man surface, you're getting pull schemes primarily, and then secondarily getting duo. right? Still the same thing. We know they're running the ball over there, same type of down blocks, angle blocks, stuff like that. So here it is again, gun far, opposite a 3-man surface. This is really like a run bunch right here. They're getting ready to run duo right here. So here you're seeing tops versus a duo. Tops, but as you can see, it just totally takes the angles away and messes with them. 97 right here needs to keep going, right, on his stunt. Like, don't stop his feet, keep going. We're trying to knock it back 2 yards. He kind of stopped right there, you know, and so he's kind of like late to the ball. Like, he should have easily been able to blow it up. And again, like, it doesn't make, like, we got number 20. We got like Marcus May playing. Like, do we want Marcus May to play an A gap as a linebacker downhill on like duo and get like his clock clean by the center? Or do we want him to just be able to pat back here and then just scrape and play special teams? Like, scrape and play special teams, which he can do right there. So like, there's all those things for it. So that's gun far away from a 3-man surface. I'll show you now gun far away from a 2-man surface. Gun far away from a 2-man surface. So gun far away from a 2-man surface is a formation family, and we are expecting zone run, like away from the running back. If the guy's at level 3, the running back's deeper than the quarterback, we're expecting inside zone. If the guy is like at level 2, even with the quarterback, like, we're expecting more like outside zone, outside run. Because of the nature of our defense, sometimes like we'll get C folds, like especially on level 2. So instead of them running outside zone, but then being like, man, this center can't block this 2-eye like wide right here. Well, they'll like down block, like pin and pull essentially, to get the same thing done on the front side because of the nature of our defense. So you'll see that sometimes as well too, as the change up and whatnot. So what we're doing is we are playing a 4-eye blast to the side of that running back when that running back's deep. Level 3. So we're setting the front to that side. The reason we're playing a 4-eye blast is because, like, this is inside zone right here. The block that you're getting ready to get from these 2 guys is a duo block. It's that same double team. Like, they're getting ready to run downhill gun inside zone right here. They want this guy down here in a 3 technique and kind of step down, influence him step down, and then cave him, you know, so to say, and have this running back be able to really like jump cut and run right through where his body was. Right there, like cave him down and like be able to go right there, as we know. All right, so same thing, like it's the same block that we're getting on, like, say, the front side of taco formations and stuff like that, as we are when we're to that offset running back level 3. So he's playing what we call a 4-eye blast. He's on the backside of a run. That's why we call it a 4-eye blast instead of a 4-eye, not to get like too nerdy. But what that means as far as from his world is you're getting the same block, but in terms of block ball relationship, this ball is going to be moving away from you and potentially cut back to you versus this ball coming at you. Does that make sense? Jeremy, D-line coaches on here and whatnot. Like, when it's ace taco, right? We know they're running the ball off tackle over here. I'm getting ready to get duo, and the running back's coming at me. So he's going to be running right at me. Now this running back's running away from me. Like, as I X off this block, I may have to like chase the ball right here, or the ball may be coming and cutting back to me. So it's a 4-eye blast. Same block as a 4-eye is what we're anticipating. Now this guy was more like a level 2, as we saw from the sideline. So it's something more outside. Okay. And then the stunt that comes with it is what we call a wide hammer. So a hammer for us is just the one technique, stunting, nailing, and the end pinching. And them two doing it together is called a hammer. The hammer that we showed before with Ace Taco, like this guy was down here as a 1 technique, stunting, down as a tight 5, stunting, because they knew the run was going this direction. So they knew they were stunting, hammering on the backside of the run. Right now, like, they know they're on the front side of the run. The running back's over here. So they're doing a wide hammer. All right, they're doing a wide hammer. So they're staying in their wide alignments, inviting these overreaches, and then they're stunting 45-degree and vertical through that. Why? Because like whether this is level 3 or level 2, like the if it's level 3, this is the run. This is where the run's designed to go. If it's level 2, this is where the run's designed to go. So we are blowing up those points of attacks, allowing these guys to pat in the RPO windows and then scrape and run and be free. And then this nickel that's slot adjusted out here as the other player that's in this fit as well too. It have to bow and bounce out here to all 3 of those guys free, 3-on-1 in the running back. But we're gonna blow up the known point of attack. So this guy is 45. This guy knows right now, like if it's zone blocking, this center is going to try to come overreach him. So he's going to 45 degrees and get vertical. He's really stepping to where the ball is because he knows that's where the space is going to be. That's where it's going to be vacated. He's either going to get a down block and center pull, or this center is going to try to come overreach him. He's stunting. His aiming point right now is the football. He's stepping to where the football is because the center is going to snap that ball and work fast off that point. That's where the daylight's going to be. And this guy is 45 degrees in vertical to where this guy's body is right now. Same thing right here. All right. The nose missed the stunt call. He didn't hear it. We said wide hammer. This guy said wide hammer right now. He did not hear it. He ends up falling into that space late, as you can see right there. But he should have done what 93 did from the get-go. Right there. So we're blowing up the 2 known points of attacks. There and there. So I'll show it to you again. Another example of it, what it looks like. This, now we can see different from last time. Hopefully you guys can see this is clearly level 3. So last time it was level 2. We were expecting something more outside. This is level 3. We know now, like it's downhill. We know now, like we should be getting duo blocking right here. Like this should be a duo double team right here. The point of attack is right here. So we are stunting and blowing that up, playing a 4-eye blast right here for this down block. Oh, my bad. This is a blitz. We got a blitz going on right here. I put this on here to show you what the nail stunt should have looked like on the previous one. Just like that. You just lay the center. The center thinks he's got to come reach you because he's used to having to reach you when you're actually playing that gap penetration over here. So sometimes you're just not stunting. You're playing gap penetration, and sometimes you are stunting. You're taking, depending upon what we've called, what front we've called, whether we've said to stunt it or not stunt it, and how hard that is for the center. And so there it is. Boom. That's what we're trying to get done right there with the wide hammer with that stunt. All right. And it's just blowing up one more time. Again, I showed you this is that 6'7", 278-pound defensive end playing an A gap in the NFL. Right? He's a summa cum laude mechanical engineer from Stanford. He's a pretty smart dude. Henry Anderson too. And so like when he was out there, like he'd be making a lot of these calls as well too, not just the outside linebackers. All right, but there it is, 45 degrees in vertical. Remember, on the wide hammer, we said we're stepping at the ball because we know that's the space that's going to be vacated. The center's going to snap the ball, and he's going to immediately work off that spot. Like, that's where the daylight's going to happen. So look at him, 45-degree step. He really stepped kind of a little bit too flat right there, if I'm being anal. But 45 degrees and gets vertical, completely Scott-ass free, right where the ball was spotted. Like, they can't do anything about it. We blow it up. See another wide hammer here. All right, level 3. So here it is. Good. We're not blitzing now. This is truly G-dub right here is called some version of like stunt, cover 2 lurk, red 52, something like that. All right. So we've set the front over here to the offset running back. The running back is at level 3. So we're playing 4-eye blast and we're playing wide hammer here away from it. So again, here's the duo block that we talked about before. Exact same duo block we get on the front side of that stuff right there. But as we can see, we call it a 4-eye blast because the run is working away from, not into that duo down block. The nail, as again, one more time, he's working Scott ass free right up where the ball, like that's the track of the play. Like they're done. And you're not getting any wash, so there's no ability to like cut back because we're playing the 4-eye blast. We're stunting for the anticipated run direction. He's got no option. He can't cut back to this guy. He can't bounce it to this guy because we're blowing up the next angle. And oh, by the way, this dude's free. This dude's free. This dude's free. Like all these other dudes, like off the ball and on the edge, are free. Right. And this is how it's designed to work, is that if some way, obviously we know Austin Eckler's a pretty damn good athlete. So if some way, somehow he's going to have to now look, he's running backwards. He's bowing and bouncing and running backwards. And there's nobody for this dude out here. All right. We're knocking it to worst case scenario, making the guy jump over people like he's having to do right here, lose ground to gain ground. And it's still going to be so now he made it even worse. Instead of it being a 1-yard TFL, it's a 5-yard TFL.
Hey Blake, what's the technique for 47 here on the backside when he's got the 4-eye blast present inside and the back in the gun to his side?
So he's playing QCBR. He's actually misaligned right here right now. All right. He should be down here in a again, this is that rookie, right? He should be down here in a 6-eye because this is cover 2, so he's really a stunt. He's really an easy 9. But anytime, like in our rules, like an easy 9, if you know you're on the backside of a tilt, so that could be like quarterback under center and it be far eye and 21 personnel. Like we know the run's going over here. Like go ahead and get your ass down in there because you're on the backside. You may get cut out. So right now it's the same situation. Like he knows the run's going over here. He should be down here in a 6-eye. It's his backside away from the tilt, easy 9 rules. And then he should be playing QCBR. So he's playing typical read option, squeeze. He's playing squeeze, shuffle, sit. And he's got the quarterback. And then once he sees the handoff, then he's just going to float. That's what he's doing right now. But he shouldn't have all that space there. He should be down here right now because it's cover 2. This gap that he's out here in is being played by this corner, whoever the flat player is. All right, right there. But if that makes sense, he's playing what everybody teaches on read option. He's to the offset running back, so he's playing what we call QCBR, quarterback, cutback, boot, and reverse. Squeeze, shuffle, sit.
And then that's everybody else's trail player. And then we've identified what a trail player has to do by giving those initials.
If the quarterback was under center, or it was like a quarterback that we know is not running read option, like it's Peyton Manning, it's Tom Brady, it's whatever, it's like something, all that type of stuff, we're playing CBR. And so now we're not playing shuffle, we're playing that attack track, which I'll show on here as well too. It's the attack track that we saw 47, the guy who did it wrong before. It's what we saw him do in the last presentation on that reverse, where he's hauling ass on that midline, right? So we're playing more of an attack, right? And so we call that CBR. We've taken the quarterback part of it out of it. The only time you're gonna have the quarterback is if it's boot, right? That's the B part of it. But CBR, cutback, boot, and reverse, more of an attack track versus a shuffle track, and whatnot. And so if we know we know this quarterback is not a read option threat, like we'll play CBR technique even from the gun. This is a good one right here. We see learning, right? This is number 47. So guys, whoever asked before, look, this is the same situation, gun near, like there's a tight end right there. And then like last time he stayed outside, this time he got down into the 6-eye, like he's supposed to get down into right now, because he knows he's on the backside of this tilt. He's supposed to be an easy 9, but now he just gets down in there so he can't get cut out. He knows the corner's got that gap. He's going to just go ahead and line down in there. So he's going to play a 6-eye. He's going to play a 4-eye blast. They're both playing the exact same technique off of the exact same blocks. And then these guys are going to wide hammer right there. And again, like 91 is a hell of a pass rusher, but this is a 6'3", 285 pound defensive end. Like he is a 4'3" defensive end, and he's a really good inside pass rusher and speed personnel. Like he's a MFer as a 3 technique. That's John Franklin Myers. Like these two dudes are two of the better internal, Quinton Williams and John Franklin Myers are two of the better internal pass rushers in the league. But he's a defensive end, but he can come down here and do this type of stuff because of the way we teach it. So there's the wide hammer. This is the C fold that we talked about, right? As the adjustment. So as we see, teams are like, well, shit, like we can't reach this guy. And then we do try to reach him. And sometimes he does this. So let's just run this pin and pull to get this done. Well, you still got to account for this. You can't do it because this dude's coming down here and blowing that up. It's not a one-man stunt, right? And so that's what you see happening right here. Like 46 and 52 are still going to be free. So 46 and 52, we get to keep people from getting up to them, let them pad in the RPO windows, right? Like the quarterback, if he's reading him, like the quarterback's got to hand it off and like not throw it to anything that's breaking in here behind them and funnel it out here to all these free hitters, as you can see right there. So the running back's got a stutter stop, like funnel the ball to where we want it to go.
Hey, Coach, got a question real quick. If I'm understanding correctly, so when you call stunt, it's based off the formation then, correct? So obviously with the tackle family, it's going to be a different stunt compared to the neutral formation.
Exactly. And so let's do this. Maybe.
And Blake will be able to tell you every stunt is by formation and then adjusted every single week by who we're playing. But when you start playing people that you have to adjust the stunts by formation, you know that the offensive coaches are dipshits. Go ahead.
I wanted to show you this actually, you guys, actually this for a second right here. This is a good one. So this is, so look what they're trying to do from the get-go, right? They're in 22 personnel, right? And they're trying to build a YY wing with their fullback and their queen pussy tight end, right? Away from their stud tight end. They're trying to get us to set the front over here and then jump Kyle Kruschek back here, right? And run the ball over here, but to the bubble. Like that's what they're trying to get done. San Francisco's trying to get done. They don't realize that we've already said, like in this game plan, like we know they're running the ball to God damn it, my mind just went blank. What's the all pro?
Dwelly.
What?
Oh,
the all pro tight end for San Francisco 49ers. I'm going
Kittle.
George Kittle. George Kittle, like for whatever reason, I was like wanting to say Kelsey, and I'm like no, like Kansas City, George Kittle. Like we know so we've set the front right here to George Kittle and tilt adjusted. Like ultimately, like this formation right here is now a neutral formation. It's eye backs, it's balanced on both sides. No, we've set it from the get-go over there to Kittle, and we've tilt adjusted because we know what they're doing right here. So like again, there's another thing where they think they're being cute, and like we know what they're doing. We know where they're running the ball. They're running the ball to Kittle. Like the rules was to set the front to Kittle. Like we knew they were going to do all these fancy shifts and whatnot. But this is stunt cover 2. This is stunt cover 2. We're tilt adjusted on the front side. Typically, we would hammer, but we have a rule that is never hammer to we don't want to hammer to a 3-man surface, all right? Because we don't want to like expose ourselves on if they did check and do a run this way or something like that and get just like caved down. So all they're doing is tilt adjusting down and playing for run this direction on the front side right there. So we're not actually stunting right here. There is no stunt. We haven't called any stunt because there's a rule that like we don't hammer stunt to a 3-man surface sort of situation. But it's not a Jaws. It's not in anything. So this is one of those rare situations where we know where they're running. We're tilt adjusted. We're not stunting on the backside, but we're kind of cheating that way. And what we're getting right here is this is a good example of an easy 9. So they're in 22 personnel. We're in nickel. We're a nickel. This is a nickel. All right. This is Brian Poole. We're playing to cover 52. He's playing outside linebacker, and we're kicking. San Francisco's obviously pretty damn good run team, kicking their ass, with this. And here's this easy 9. So we know they're running the ball over here. We're tilt adjusted. And then look, Kittle's trying to hard reach the defensive end, and the defensive end is taking a stunt track inside. So Kittle's trying to reach him, but playing on a track and bypassing him. 44 is trying to go block the nickel. All right. But like, oh shit, he's got to come on and all of a sudden block this defensive end. We've got a 4-eye out here because we know the play's coming here. So we've completely taken that away, and just look at how like all the play side disruption that's happened right now. And then the reason we're doing the easy 9 is because, again, remember, we're trying to mess with them on the front side, but really his gap is this gap because it's cover 2. The D gap is being played by the cloud corner that's knifing out there. So there's the easy stunt. I'll let it play fast now. Tilt adjust and easy stunt. All right, I'll show a couple of these, though, going back to the question that we had before, kind of showing how it works, grand scheme when G-Dub calls things. All right, G-Dub is called stunt 52 right now. We're in nickel versus 12 personnel or 11 personnel or whatever it is right now. Stunt 52. This is a taco formation. So we're taco tilt adjusted on the front side. He's playing it like a 9-eye, like this is like an inverted crease right here, 9-eye, 4-eye, and then the stunt is hammer that goes with that formation family. It could be a YY wing, it could be a YYY wing, it could be a run bunch like it is right now. That's all a taco family. The tilt adjust on the front side, hammer on the back side. So G-Dub is called stunt 52. We have said rabbit, 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 taco, 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 hammer, hammer, hammer. And good job. What that's done is, like, if we didn't do that, this little pencil dick right here, I love to death. He's the starting nickel, another undrafted guy, right? This guy's undrafted. This guy's undrafted. All these dudes, right? But this guy is Arthur Mallett, who's a starting nickel for the Pittsburgh Steelers now for the past couple of years, and whatnot. But he would have had that A gap. He's the same linebacker. He would have had that A gap. Otherwise, now we've pushed his gaps. We pushed all these gaps front side. So we've really pushed his gap to like this crease right here, so to say, and like know that nobody's gonna get up to him. So we can get this done. We can have superior athletes out there on the field when all of a sudden they've got to get in the box and play the run. Well, no, like we're going to have the defensive line. We're going to have the line of scrimmage players tilt adjust, stunt, like blow up all the internal gaps and allow the guys off the ball to play special teams. So this dude, 44 on the backside now, is playing A to C. So he's really just like a fallback player. He's playing A to C, like he's kind of doing, as you see him doing right there. He's just waiting on it. He's already sitting there waiting on it on the backside. Here's another example of a hammer of some sorts. G-Dub is called okay. So Jeremy, you on here, Jeremy, or any other guys from the defender staff? This is back smoke. This is back smoke 2-roll right here. That's what G-Dub's called, back smoke 2-roll. So this is a simulated pressure for other guys here. It's independent front and coverage. We're taking the pressure to the side of the running back. So we know they're running the ball, obviously, away from the running back. So we're going to get tilt adjusted away from the running back, get this hammer on the backside, and get another player off the backside. So if they were running read option, we've got like one for the dive, one for the quarterback sort of situation. And so we're just getting something different than we normally would out of the gun run game. We're getting what we would do under center when we know that, like, oh, like we just saw, like under center, the tilt is over here. We know they're running it, tilt adjust on the front side, hammer on the backside, all that stuff that we just saw. Now this is a simulated pressure where we can, it could be protection though. Like G-Dub could call this and it could be bird. Okay, well now all of a sudden we're attacking the 6-man protection or 5-man 3-release hot protection and they're hot off the back. So we can get a lot of stuff done with this pressure where we're taking it to the side of the running back for the gun run or the gun read option run or protection. Well, that's what we've called back smoke. 2 roll right here. 47 is a rookie. We've seen him make a couple mistakes. This is literally his first snap of his first game in the NFL. He's out here goddamn pass rushing. I love him to death, but he's supposed to be stunting right here. All right, he's pass rushing. Supposed to be, and he's supposed to be stunting. But we see the same thing at the end of the day on the same type of off-tackle play. We're tilt adjusted on the front side. Right, 47's playing it like it's run. 48's playing it like it's run. He's playing it like both edges are playing it like it's pass right now. It's like, come on, dog, it's rabbit. We've said rabbit. So 48's immediately dropping into coverage. It's like, bro, it's rabbit. We've said rabbit. Like, pay attention, lock in, and go set the edge. Like, you're not dropping out as a vertical hooker right now. Like, it's run. But we still get the good front side tilt adjust, knockback, all pro, all world 3 technique versus an all pro guard. Quentin Nelson put our guys in a better advantageous alignment and playing a more advantageous technique to get it done. So Quentin Nelson can be the greatest guy in the world, but he's not going to go kick Quentin Williams' ass when Quentin Williams is a 4-eye playing vertical knockback. The 4-eyes makes Quentin Nelson play so flat and with no power, and Quentin Williams is now playing with vertical power. Like, he's going to win this every single time. 96, this is a great example of what it looks like. We said 45 degrees in vertical. Right. So he's going to play. He's not going to go. He doesn't have to go front side. He's got to play the space of this A gap. So he'll go backside if need be, like we're seeing right now. One more. So he's going 45 in vertical, and he's not just staying, ripping and running, exposing his shoulder and saying, coach, I'm in my gap. You got washed way the hell over here. And they just ran the ball out the gate. No, he's getting vertical and violent and making the play on his track, not getting washed by it. This is why we teach what we teach. There's a very fundamental reason for it, but we're teaching it through the eyes of offense, not defense. So he's stunting to the front side A gap. No, he's really playing that space, 45 degrees in vertical. One more way, you're seeing 96. I wasn't lying when I said he was number 3 in the NFL, right? And he didn't even play down inside all the time. Like, he barely played inside, but he was number 3 in the entire NFL for defensive tackles. As a skinny, tall defensive end, and he's playing nose tackle right here, like blowing it up, TFLs. All right, we've seen this one now. So G-Dub again is called stunt. G-Dub is called stunt 2. We've said rabbit, rabbit, rabbit. And because it's an ace neutral formation, the stunt for that formation family is jaws. We've said jaws, jaws, jaws. We said rabbit, 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 jaws, jaws, jaws. We watched this one earlier, and we watched it last cut up as well too. All right. This guy is getting square in the middle of the gap because he knows he's getting stunts coming every direction from him. So he's getting in the middle of the gap, and he's the only person playing pure vertical. He's just getting pure penetration right here. Everybody else is going 45 degrees in vertical. Here it is again. Same game, different time in the game. G-Dub's called stunt 2 or stunt 52. We're in nickel versus 12 personnel. We're in nickel versus 12 personnel because that's our best players on the field. And for the man-to-man matchups with their receiving tight end versus our nickel. All right. And we're able to get that done. And when all of a sudden they run 12 personnel stacked core of a formation runs, like, this dude isn't having to play this A gap as a Sam linebacker right now. So we said rabbit, 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 jaws, jaws, jaws. We showed this one last time. This guy's dead ass wrong. Like, he needs to be down. He's going out and trying to force this play. He needs to be downhill and taking that space and just blowing it up right now. But because of what the defensive end is doing, 45 degrees in vertical, instead of just going flat like a lot of people coach and wrong arming and just saying, I'm in my gap on the line of scrimmage, coach. You're not getting anything done. You know, and sometimes maybe you're doing even at the detriment of the defense when you're doing that. He's actually making the play for the will linebacker who's totally screwed up and messed up because he's going 45 degrees vertical right there. All right, here's a good one. All right. So in our tilt rules, so we have a rule that's called slide wide. So when we slide the front, when the off for that game plan or for our defense, if they present a motion that makes us slide the front, what they are doing is just like copycat 101, like especially NFL. They're doing that motion shift, whatever they're doing, in order to run the ball to that new direction and run it off tackle that direction. That's just why the offenses are doing it. Okay. So what we mean by that is a tilt unto its own. So when we slide wide. Slide wide. What that means is like, don't slide and try to figure out what the formation family is. It's its own tilt. They're running it over there. And don't get your ruler out and say, am I in a perfect 4-eye right now? Am I a perfect this? No, slide to that side of my gap. Don't slide short. That's the other thing they're hoping they get done, right? They're trying to mess with our tilts. They're trying to screw us up and mess with our tilts and not get us appropriate line. And so we say slide and slide wide. It's its own tilt. Like they're running the ball that direction when they present that, and they're running the ball off tackle that direction. And our defensive linemen, defensive tackles can perfectly articulate that. If I had them on this call right now, they would perfectly articulate that, even if I haven't coached them for 3 or 4 years. They'd say, what do we do when we slide? Slide wide. I'd be like, why? Maybe I'd ask the defensive end, why are we doing that? Because they're running the ball this direction. Where are they running the ball? Off tackle. Got it. So this is a taco formation. But look, this tight end is actually out here. Like, he don't belong out here. If this was really they were getting ready to really run duo or something like that, or toss crack or something, he'd be in this location. So something's already up. But right now we're tacoed over here. Right? They move that tight end. This is 11 personnel. We've set the front to the tight end. That's where we're setting the front right now. Quarterback's under center. We're setting the front to the tight end, to the closed side. Slide wide. And so you see it happening. Quinnen Williams is late right now. Like, he should see this and know this. He's late right now. This guy is look, he's sliding wide. He's sliding to a 4-eye. Number 98's the one screaming and yelling it right now. The outside linebacker. He's screaming, slide. Slide and slide wide. We know they are running the ball that direction. So if they would have just so we're clear, guys, if they would have just lined up in this formation from the get-go, technically this is a neutral formation. This is an ace, one back formation. Say this guy was on the ball right here. And if we didn't know anything else, we didn't hear anything else, know anything else from a game plan perspective, like this would be a gap 3 and a 2-eye right here. And it would be a neutral formation, and we would be jawsing it. All right? We would be jawsing it. But the way this would work if we were running a stunt right now is we would be tacoed and hammered, and all of a sudden now this would be slide and hammer on the backside. So it would go from hammer on this side to slide and hammer. And you say, well, why did all of a sudden this is a neutral formation? Why are we hammering now? Because that motion made it its own tilt. We know they're running the ball over there, running it off tackle. We're no longer treating it like a jaws formation. We're treating it as a hammer formation. So that's how the mechanics would work if we were in a stunt package. Right now, we're not in a stunt package. We're in a down safety defense. So we're just sliding the front, but we're sliding wide for that purpose. And getting beautiful front side force. The play is not expanding. We're getting great 4-eye alignment on the fly and knockback. They're trying to run the ball off tackle. Again, like I said, the blue boxes where we're trying to get this guy's heels knocked back 2+ yards from his original heel depth. Right in the point of attack, which now allows us to play violent 2-gap technique, because this running back has to say, oh shit, that was the track of the play. And he had to say, oh shit, and he's got to cut it back. And then Quinnen Williams on the backside is doing the same thing. He's getting that same knockback of the heels. So look, as this guy cuts back, he can't all of a sudden smooth cut back all the way out the backside right here because we're getting that same knockback right here on the backside. So he's got to stutter and stop and try to bow right here. And Quinnen Williams, so this guy's able to play violent knockback 2-gap X off on the front side, violent knockback here, kitty kitty technique on the backside, which is, this is how Mike Waffle taught it. It was here, kitty kitty, I've got extension and knockback, and you want to come through my inside gap, I'm going to smoke you. Or because of the blue box, you're going to have to stop your feet and like jump cut bow to get around it. And by that point in time, I'm going to X off on the backside of the block, and I'm still going to make the play on you. So we're doing all of this every single play. Remember what I said last time? Like we want every single snap for our defense to be either 3rd and 10 or short yardage from the very first snap of the game to the end of the game. We want to play bird or rabbit, and if it's rabbit, we want to tilt adjust to the known run direction, stunt for the formation family, blow it up, play it like it's short yardage with all that anticipation. And if it's bird, like get in pass rush alignments, potentially run pass rush games, do all that type of stuff that we would do on 3rd and 10, do it now on 1st and 10. Here's another slide wide situation right here. So same situation right now. So watch what they're doing right here. They got double Y off. This is their stud tight end, and they're trying to build a YY wing. They're trying to build a taco formation over here. We're in a bare front, so we're not sliding the front, right? We're in a mirrored front. But initially, like we know, like this is the run tight end. This is the dude that we would have set it to. So initially, this is the tilt. Even though this is a neutral formation, we know this is their run stud tight end. So we're playing it as a tilt. That's why this guy's in a 4-eye and this guy's in a tight 3. So that's what we said earlier, guys, is like, hey, this is a neutral formation, but if we know something in that game plan, like we will play it as a tilt. And now as they make that movement right there, watch our guys. So watch this guy adjust out to a 4-eye right here. This guy right here kind of cheats to this eye right here. This guy should be coming down. I think he just stunt steps that direction because he didn't feel comfortable about getting out of his stance. But you can see 96 on the front side go from knowing that he's on a 3 shade being on the backside of the run to now a 4-eye being on the front side of the run. There it is. If we were in our 4-man front, we would be sliding and sliding wide. But again, we're a tilt adjusting on the fly. Same sort of situation right here. All right, I want to show something right here too. We're playing blitz man right now. So what these guys are doing, these edge guys, are ultimate force 9 techniques. So they're getting to so initially they're thinking, this guy's trying to figure it out. He knows he's on the backside right now because we're saying this is the tilt. This guy right here has gotten outside of everything because he's saying this is a potential toss crack. And because he's ultimate force, because we're playing blitz man, he's gotten outside of all that shit. Let this guy get up here and press his man. And because there's nobody to crack, so to say, and I'm pressed up, like my man, if it is toss crack, like my man's just going to try to stock block me. He's going to come to me. My man's going to come to me sort of situation. And the guy that's not covering anybody in man-to-man, the guy that's blitz forcing is just going to go run back here and blow this shit up. Right. So we're eliminating all those dilemmas of blitzing and playing toss crack, replace because of that. Now, as soon as that motion happens, well, this dude knows, oh shit, he knows that's not toss crack. It's not even run at him. He runs back down in here. 98's doing a good job right here of like, he's trying to get into a non-crackable location, but he was a smart dude. This is another undrafted Kyle Phillips. This is another undrafted college free agent rookie, right here, stud that we've taught. And he knows, he can tell. He's a pretty smart guy. I allow him to do it. Like he can tell that it's not toss crack, and this guy's not getting ready to crack him or whatever. And so you see he like kind of stems in at the last second and goes and sets the front. But that's what you see going on. If you remember me, or said there's different types of 9 techniques, and it's based upon the coverage in our defense. These are ultimate force 9 techniques, and they're trying to hedge their bets for toss cracks right now. And now again, we're getting great force technique. Play side knockback and tilt adjust. There's one more time of 9. I mean, as we've seen, in just a few games, right? Like we've already seen about 10 TFLs as a defensive tackle by the Henry Anderson, the big white backup defensive end. Let's. Why don't I end with a couple of pistol snaps? All right, because you guys probably see pistol. So obviously, like teams like Buffalo started running more pistol because like they're smart coaches, like they know what, and they're playing us twice a year, and they're getting their ass kicked by us, and they can kind of see what we're doing, right? And so like they start trying to run pistol to try to take some of that away from us. But we still have anticipation, right? Like we still know certain things that like that maybe they don't know of, like when they're in pistol, they always run the ball this direction, or hey, these are the code words that they're saying up front, or they're still a tight end dominant run team. Like Buffalo, when you watch Buffalo, they run 11 personnel, but they run to the tight end. They run to the closed tight end. Like what, even when he's like slot adjusted, like he is right now, like this looks like 10 personnel, but the tight end's really slot adjusted. Like they run to their tight end. So like when they've got an inline tight end, quarterback under center, like we know they're running to the tight end. It's a neutral formation, but we play it as like a taco. We tilt adjust and we kick their ass, right? So they start trying to like take that tight end and flex them out and get in pistol and think they're being cute with us, but they still say the same words up front, so we know what they're doing, and they still run to the tight end, like, you know what I mean? And so right now they're in pistol, we're in bare front, but you can clearly tell right now, like, shit, our zero, and we allow them to do that. Like our zero technique is full on shade adjusted right here. Like in this 3 techniques got in a 5 and a 4 eye, and this 3 technique is down in a tight 3 shade, because we know they're running the ball over here to the left, over here to the offensive left, defensive right. So this is perfect. This is beautiful. So they've tilt adjusted to the known anticipation right here to take these angle blocks away and cheat down on the backside, because we know where they're running it. And then this outside linebacker is playing QCBR, because that's Josh Allen. All right. Josh Allen's not Lamar Jackson. Like you'll see on this, like you can kind of be wrong on QCBR. He's a great scrambler, but he's not Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson. He's not going to kick your ass on like read option, not with NFL defensive ends and outside linebackers, right? Like if you're one step wrong, like, or whatever, or even when you're one step right, like Lamar Jackson, and like you got to be careful who you got on the edge versus Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray. Like they'll outrun you. But he's playing QCBR, squeeze, shuffle, sit. Because of the nature of what we do with tilts and anticipation, it's making all this better. You know what they want to have happen, right? Is like, it doesn't matter if the running back has the ball or the quarterback has the ball. Like they want all of these guys up front right here, these defense tackles, to be washed all the way into the middle of the field and just be a huge seam right here. And this guy to be like pausing, and this running back just to be able to run downhill right up the hash. But because of how we tilt adjust and play with anticipation in our technique, like you're not going to have that space. You see, Quinton Williams already knocked the living shit out of this guy, and then 2-gap X'd off the block, and he's like right there in that space. Like there's nowhere for that running back to go. And then Josh Allen pulls the ball. QCBR player's wrong right here, chasing the running back. Like he's got the quarterback. Like quarterback pulled the ball. Luckily, it's cover 2 though, right? So we're double redundant. Great job by the cloud corner coming and making the TFL. Here's another pistol front. This is a good teaching point on what I teach as what's called a fake ass block. So our guys could articulate this as well too. The what ifs of playing space and anchor point knockback defense versus playing gaps. So right now we know they're running the ball over here. Like they're in pistol, but they're in near eye, and we said they're a tight end dominant run team. Like they're running the ball over here. So we're 4-eye adjusted. If we're properly in a 4-eye and they run the ball off tackle here, and this 4-eye, as he's vertically penetrating, is immediately getting reached, what I call that for our guys is a fake ass block. What that means is like their offensive line coach has taught this, is like, hey, bucket step, throw your head across the bow to get your color across his color and reach him. Like, right? Like offensive line coaches, guys in here, like that's what they're coaching that dude to do. Well, you got no power. Like you got no power and you're reaching me before the running back maybe even has the ball yet, right? It's a fake ass block. What I mean by that is like, don't worry about let me say this twice. Write this down, guys. We leverage space over leveraging the gap, and we leverage the ball over leveraging the block. That's philosophically what we teach. We leverage space over leveraging the gap, and we leverage the ball over leveraging the block. Like
Thank you for saying that. Thank you.
So if this 4-eye is properly adjusted, vertically penetrating, not false stepping, fast up the ball, and he's getting immediately reached, that is a block that will never work. You are reaching at you're not going to stop me from just running straight up the field. And you've reached me before like the damn dude even has the ball. So this is a fake ass block. As we can see right here, you've reached me, great. The running back doesn't even have the ball yet, and you got no power. Like you're not going to keep me from just running straight up the field and either blowing this guy up or making him stop his feet and actually completely run backwards to bow and bounce and try to get around me. And so this is number 98, that same undrafted rookie defensive end. All right, outside linebacker, really undrafted outside linebacker, Kyle Phillips. 6'4", 255 pounds. He's now down here playing a D tackle, but he's playing 4-eye and he knows it's run that direction, right? And he can functionally do all these things and play defensive tackle because of the way we're teaching it. And he's more powerful than you are on that track of anticipation. So look what ends up happening right here. He ends up actually picking off. He ends up taking 2 guys. He ends up picking off the center. So now people off the ball, like the center's not getting up. He ends up really taking 3 guys. He picks off the backside guard too. So the nose is this dude right here. The nose all of a sudden starts swiping over the top unblocked. But that's a fake ass block. So that's what it means by right there. Let me maximize this. Sorry, guys. I didn't realize I wasn't in large screen. But he's attacking on his track. We can see that with 98 right now. It all goes back to force. So I do not like this force right now, right? What potentially hurts us is this ball being able to stutter and still run through that space. He's not running. A lot of people would say oh shit, well, this guy got reached. He ran the ball through that guy's gap. He's wrong. No, look where this dude starts right now. This dude's starting just inside the hash. Look where that space is. The space is where the force initially started. This guy is exactly where he started. He's playing anchor point defense. He has gone straight vertical. He has not moved laterally at all. This dude's getting tossed out of the club and skating the force and opening up this window. If this guy's doing a good job of setting the force, not skating it, like that space doesn't even exist right now. But so the 4-eye is doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. If the force was doing what he was doing, like this play would already be even more of a moot point, but still, like, we're still creating disruption. It's picking off the nose is getting free, and the guys off the ball are all free because nobody's getting up to the second level. We're still blowing it up. Playing with anticipation, not worrying about gaps, worrying about tracks in space. All right. Here's another pistol right here. Again, like we got all these outside linebackers. Like this is an outside linebacker. This is an inside linebacker. Inside linebackers down playing outside linebacker. Outside linebackers down playing 3 technique because we're in a speed defense, but we want to get to double eagle spacing. You guys better understand all these rules and whatnot. So check this out right here, guys. So remember how we said that they were a tight end run team, right? So why aren't they running the ball this direction right now? So they started adjusting and running load option back away from the tight end. But we know what they're saying. So the rules for this game plan was to be tilt adjusted this direction. But these guys are having a conversation 6 inches in front of your face every single play. So what 48 has done is he's heard them talking down block, their down block communications on the front side right now. So he's tilt adjusted out. He's saying, you guys are running the ball back this way. And we knew the only play that they were running back away from it would be the load option, and all that type of stuff. But again, these guys are taking what they're hearing and being conceptually taught and or seeing, and they're validating. They know the one-timer is coming right now. So we try to teach them that, like, hey, the concept of allowing them to have the anticipation, which is like when you know the one-timer is coming, adjust. That's what we're trying to teach you to do, is play with anticipation. Always have the answer to the test. Hey, adjust and let the rest of the team know as well too. Don't keep secrets. So 48 now. Now he's kind of stepping out right now. Like he's stepping underneath himself. He needs to just be playing vertical. But hey, he's getting it done. He's not getting his ass. He's an outside linebacker. He's an outside linebacker playing the 3 technique versus a Pro Bowl right tackle. Like he should be getting caved, and instead he's getting knocked back. And the runs, but at least he's maintaining the anchor point of the defense. And now 20 and 44 are able to be scot-free and blow it up, and the whole play is not getting washed. All right, what do we got right here? We got pistol. We got, again, we know, like, we don't care. Like, they're a tight end run team. Like, we know they're running the ball over here. They're running the exact same run that they always run versus us. Just this game, they started putting him in the pistol instead of him under center. Like, we know they're running the ball over this direction right now. So instead of us treating this as a neutral formation, we're treating it as a taco formation. We are tilt adjusted. And now there it is. There's duo. There's the down blocks. Like, they're running the ball that direction. And we're taking the angles away. And we're able to play squeeze QCBR, redirect to the quarterback. We're able to play like, you're not able to wash us. We're playing anchor point defense. Quinnen Williams doing a great job playing his 4-eye right here and getting that knockback. Closing the space with really that guy's body, getting knocked back of more than 2 yards. So now he's able to play violent 2-gap technique, X off, get to the ball. So any question, guys, right there at the end? Like, I think we can kind of in the cut ups on that. Like, I've kind of showed pretty much everything I wanted to show: the stunts, the anchor points, the tilts, how we can invalidate the formation family if we know something based on what they're saying and whatnot. How we play the little trick shifts that you saw San Francisco doing, or the slides of the fronts where we know what they're doing. All I do is I teach it as its own tilt or its own little fundamental route. Hey, when we slide wide, alliteration, something easy that they can learn. And then I present them with these things every single day, whether this team is doing it or not doing it. Like, I'm making them walk through these things. Special teams is going on. The D tackles aren't doing anything with special teams. So I'm making them they ain't just sitting around just shooting the shit. Like, they're over there and we're doing stunts. We're doing like simulating this type of stuff. Constantly getting these guys the confidence, the tilt adjust and feel this and make the calls and make these things. Show me, have confidence in them that they can do it like this. Because any sort of stuttering, stammering, like as points on the board, all right, in the league, making them comfortable that they can do it like that from the first guy on the roster to the last guy on the roster. Because as we've seen, like, all the packages that we play, like, sometimes it's going to be an outside linebacker down there playing that 3 technique. Sometimes it's going to be a backup, an undrafted rookie outside linebacker that's playing 3 technique, right, and having to do this type of stuff, right? And so we make sure we drill it, teach it conceptually. Any questions that anybody wants to have here?
I got one, Blake. So as you're doing all this game planned pieces, you're in camp though. We're installing the parts, we're installing the components. How do you handle the practice time when you're not game planned are you game planning your own offense, or are you just running the parts, or how are you getting it done in camp?
Good. So we are doing training camp rules. So we do training camp rules versus our offense. But because we want to get them into a level of anticipation, we allow them to game the play when they know it, if that makes sense. So like, we're going to play ace neutral, but if they know, like, they hear the offense saying certain things, like, they may tilt adjust out for that one play, which allows me to see that they can, because I want to conceptually see in training camp, like, that's part of what we do. That's part of the training camp rules of when you know something that's invalidating the formational rules that we're operating on today. This game plan, like, we're taking every practice of training camp as a game plan, so to say. Like, when you know something, like, do that, and now we can show it on film. We say, hey, why did you do that? Well, because I heard him say this. Excellent, guys. This is what it looks like. This is what we want done. But it's training camp rules. And so ace neutral formations are ace neutral formations, and we're jawsing. Taco formations are taco formations, and we're hammering. Gun far away from a 2-man surface, or gun far away from a 2-man surface, and we're wide hammering. Gun far away from a 3-man surface, our 3+ man surface, our expected pull schemes, and we're topsing. And those things, and we're playing those training camp rules. But if they make us slide, we're going to slide wide. Like, that's a fundamental rule of like what we're doing is our offense and every other offense as well too. And if they'll say something that allows us to invalidate something on a tilt rule, like we'll tilt adjust it and do that, and whatnot, if that makes sense. And really, like, what we're doing is like we're playing training camp rules, because the training camp rules are built the copycat of the NFL. We're playing training camp rules every single week, and all we're doing is like turning one of those rules on or off based upon that particular opponent. If that particular opponent, like these 4 formation families, they're doing what everybody else in the NFL is doing, but this formation family, they're not. So we're going to play this formation family as neutral this week, and this is the why. Or we're going to tilt adjust on the front side, but play neutral on the back side, because 70% of the times they are running it to the near eye or taco formation, but the other 30% of the time they're running counter OY or counter OF back on the backside. So we don't want you guys tilt adjusted down as one techniques on the backside, and now have non-advantageous, like, you getting caved by the counter, so to say. So tilt adjust on the front side, but play neutral on the backside, sort of thing. Like, that's what we're doing each game plan. But each game plan is really, like, usually, because of the copycat nature of the league, is like 95% or 90% training camp rules, 10%, hey, particular to this team, if that makes sense.
It makes sense a lot. And make sure everybody that's listening to Blake is training camp rules go out through the whole season. And the only thing that we're going to change is all of a sudden an opponent all of a sudden caused us to make an adjustment. But 99% of the time, okay, all dumbass offensive coaches have tilt rules. And if defensive coaches don't understand tilt rules, then good luck.
Yeah, we're building it off of the overarching fundamentals of offensive football, from team to team, like across a league, across a conference. Like, we're building it. We're building it from that standpoint. Like, I fully understand, right, that like maybe at the high school level, you may be playing wing T one week and spread option the next week, and this, in 2-back offense the next week, and multiple West Coast offense the next week, right? And I get the complications of that, but at the end of the day, like, each one of those offenses still have their own like tilt rules, and like the principles of like force, anchor point, knockback, secondary force, like all those things still apply, right? So I fully understand that, like, the more cookie cutter it is across your league. Like, I watched the XFL this past year, right? The XFL was predominantly over. So it was 2 things. It was primarily a run and shoot, a heavy run and shoot emphasis, and it was like June Jones and people off of June Jones's and Hal Mummy's tree, right? But then there was a couple of West Coast, like pure West Coast offensive stuff. And so really there's 8 teams. I was watching all the DC Defenders stuff and the people they were going against, and it was just like same as. It was like, hey, these are June Jones tree, these are NFL West Coast tree, and whatnot. Any other questions?
Home run, that's exactly correct. That's a home run, yes.
Any other questions, guys?
I do have a couple things, and I think it's great that you guys are online looking for a way to improve, because it's all the work you're doing in life when nobody else is watching. It's very, very, very important. And how can you improve our game? You need to get your head coaches, you need to get your defensive coordinators, you need to get all those other ones online to pay attention about what's going on, because as I tell Blake, in his 4 companies he's involved with right now, he's got a 5th company job anytime he wants it to come back and be a dumbass with me. Okay. It's outstanding. understand what we're doing, why we're doing. Okay. And you need to understand that some of the top things that he said was every single time you turn the film on and you don't see 11 people in the end zone copy, whose fault's that? That's not anybody other than you. Okay. So make sure you're getting all that stuff done. Okay. And you're continuing to improve your tracking technique, not your gap technique, your tracking technique. And you can do that, especially in the run game, whether it's RPO, whatever it is. And Blake and I can tell you, we're number one in the league all the time versus all the RPOs and the PRO teams. Okay. On understanding what's going on is how do you set the force? And then we're not going to play a 53-yard field. We're going to play a 26, 24, 25, 22, 10-yard width field. And then how tough are you on making sure you're teaching knockback and you're teaching tracking, especially at the D-line position. It was a great night. You did a great job. And with the tilted stuff, understand the tilt of the offensive formation. And if you don't, you just stay there, beat me, stab me, kill me as a defense, and don't adjust to tilts. That's why they got the angle advantage on you.
I want to answer. Thanks. Thank you. I want to answer Pierce's. I saw a question in the chat. He said, how often do O-line say dummy double team commands that might have been picked up on broadcast tapes that the D-line might be reacting to? What we found is very, very little do they actually do that. And very little versus us. You would think maybe they would, but here's my belief on why we get very little of that. We present so many different looks on defense and different like things that we do, and then sometimes, and then we're doing all that stuff. Like it can be very complicated. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be relatively simple learning and concept learning for us, and be really complex and disruptive looking to the offense because we're teaching through their eyes. So what we found is this: like communication is at a premium. So when they try to do all that cute shit and we're doing all the stuff that we're doing, it ends up backfiring, so to say, on them, right? Like the offensive line and whatnot. Somebody all of a sudden you'll see on that team thinks that it's not a dummy word, it's legit, and then they actually do it, and they have two guys running into each other, two pullers running into each other. They're both guys are trying to pull both directions, and we see this happen. It just looks like the Keystone Cops. What we find happen more so than people making dummy calls, like it really never happens. Versus us. What we find happen is people attempt to come into the game making no calls. Like they're just not saying anything. They've got to know that it was called this in the huddle, and you guys have to know what the game plan rules are, offensive line. We can't be saying all this stuff. Okay, well, you're still not handling the fact that your left tackle tips run pass drastically with his stance every single time, and the fact that you guys are running to tilts. You guys maybe think we're operating, or maybe because you've heard other people that like have coached with us before that are now coaching on your staff, that we're like operating totally off of what you're saying. That's not the truth. Like we're really operating off of what you're showing on a silent film, what we can see without hearing you. Right. Obviously we were doing all this shit well before we ever got TV copies and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And whatnot, when we didn't have, TV copies to listen to and mic'd up people to hear and whatnot, we were still doing the same stuff, and everything. And still using what you were taught, because it's like, I was an offensive line coach. I was teaching you, like, there's only so many languages in the league. But moral stories, we found people try to come into the game not doing that. And then one or two drives in, like their offensive linemen are not on the same page, especially when it comes to protection. We start, like, that's one of those things. Like sometimes they will come into the game, I'll debrief constantly. So the D linemen will come over to the sideline and say, they're not saying anything. And I'll just like look at G-Dub and smirk. And like, that means start blitzing their fucking ass, like start blitzing them. And we're going to make them start communicating. And all of a sudden they start having just unblocked free runners that maybe they wouldn't in protection bust and their quarterback's getting smoked, the franchise quarterback's getting smoked, and the offense coordinator, the head coach are taking over, like, stop this cute shit, start identifying, start talking, like, we can't have this happen. And we normally see that lasts about 2 drives at most, and then they just start getting back to like talking and saying all their communication, because they realize like they can't operate like they thought they could. Any other questions?
Then what Blake Williams is saying is this: every single time the offense lines up, they're telling you the play. They are telling you exactly what play they're going to run without talking. The tilt is a priority. Where the ball is placed, on what hash the ball is placed on, the splits of the wide receivers, the splits of the offensive linemen, they're telling you every single play they're running, whether it be bird or rabbit. They're telling you in a run stance, they're telling you in a pass stance, and then they're telling you in a formation tilt, whether it be run or pass. And if you can't understand it, go back to school.
That brought up a good point that GW just said right there. I've got it. We didn't watch it, but I'll put it on there as just right here. So what GW was talking about, again, when we go back and just all the fundamental ways that we teach things. So this is something I teach our guys, right? Because it's about space. So watch this. So watch what Arizona's trying to do right here. Trying to be cute, right? The air raid offense. You guys see this at high school, college. So this is nothing but a taco formation. So 94 should be a 4-eye. And watch what he's processing though, what I teach, which is like we're leveraging space over leveraging gaps. We're leveraging the ball over leveraging blocks. They have massively oversplit this gap right here because they think we are aligning on men and not on space. They don't know what we're actually doing when they watch it. So they're trying to oversplit and get our 4-eye to line up way out here on him. Now he's going to line up in the space of a normal 4-eye. So what I teach them is like if the gap is abnormally wide, like, so you're supposed to be a 4-eye. The gap is abnormally wide, get in the middle of the gap and just take the gap, take the space. You will be lined up relative to the ball in the guard like you would as a normal 4-eye if they weren't in that big oversplit. But we're not going to, so that's what you see 94 doing right here is he's like processing it, and watch him get right in the middle of the gap right here and not get out there in a 4-eye because he's not giving that space away and allowing them to get done what they want to get done, which is get us a little extra wide right now. And we see everything happen the way it should happen. We get good vertical force, good knockback. We didn't get too wide. And now he's able to X off right there on the backside of the block, which he wouldn't have probably been able to do even if he was getting that knockback, if he was out there really wide like they wanted him to be. So again, it's like those little nuances. I get like, hey, I fully get, just so you guys know, like I get why some of like what we talked earlier, what was going on in the you can't coach scared, but I get why certain coaches like that I've coached with before, like don't want to do this, don't want to learn this or whatever, because there's a level like we fear what we don't know. And you weren't an offensive line coach like I was, and like so you in whatnot. If the play, but we're clearly seeing the players get it, so the coaches should be able to get it. Like it's your fear, it's your paradigm like that you won't reframe, like that's causing the blind spot. But I also get that like maybe you don't coach all the little nuances that I coach if you don't know all those like little things. I get it. Like what we're trying to get at is like make it, if you do something like this, like make it work for you. But there's a way to get much more done and simplify it for your players and make all your players look like all-stars and cover up for a lot of deficiencies, both at the player level and the coaching level. Like we had right here in this situation, in this spot. and still be dynamic and dominant because you give them tools, and they feel confident because you're giving them tools to attack, so to say. But like that's one little nuance there again of me like knowing and I like it's funny, one of those funny things, like I've taught that and I'd walked that forever for 2 years. This is before this actually anybody actually did it to us, and they did it and you got one play of it, and you see that's a great situation of 94 recognized it and he did it. It was a one-time thing across like 94, and I'd been coaching 94 for 1,600 snaps of live Sunday games, right? 1,600 snaps and thousands of snaps on the practice field until like somebody actually did this, and it was a one-time thing, right? Like, would it have been the end of the world if he didn't do it? No, but I gave him that option. But it's all taught through the eyes of offense. I'm a firm believer, like I've told you guys before, of like we can reframe a lot of problems and we can solve a lot more problems for our defensive players by learning offense and applying offensive understanding to defensive schemes and defensive techniques than doing it defensively, so to say. We make the problem more complex than it needs to be, and the techniques more complex than it needs to be, and harder than it needs to be when we try to see things through a straw and solve the problems through the straw of just our position group or just defensively with no thought process. All right, I think you guys have seen through 2 Zooms how much problems we reframe and how much an easy, so to say, we make it for our players by teaching them offense and giving them those tools and making them have all the communications, checks, adjustments pre-snap. So there is no reading, reacting. Like there's no reading, reacting in our defense. None. It's attack. There's oh shit response to I was wrong. There's oh shit response to bust out technique. We respect and run. It was play action pass. All right. And we do those drills. To converting from run technique to pass rush, and we do those drills for that. But like we also challenge the guys to be right more often. Like we also challenge the guys that like, hey, if you're going to be wrong 10% of the time, like you're right 90% of the time. All right, but we have oh shit responses, but we're never playing 50-50 ball, 50-50 techniques. We're doing all of our stuff pre-snap so that post-snap we can attack. And then with the disguises on our defense, we're making those things rotate and change post-snap. So we're making what we're really trying to do is make the offense read and react and process post-snap while we are doing all our processing and communicating pre-snap and now attacking. And that's kind of what we try to get done.
And you've done a great job with that. And the one thing you do need to tell them is that make sure that everybody knows that what I told Quentin, if he goes out in the 4-eye on a 6-foot split, he was going to be selling beer.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. That didn't really help him. So what you'll find is like real talk, because he just has to keep taking himself off the mic, is G-Dub likes to coach shit like that. And then what I've had to do over the years is come behind him and actually put it into concepts and like teach the technique for it, and whatnot. It makes sense. I told you guys last time G-Dub wasn't on here, but like how he taught me as a young dude about like hash splits as a corner. Like, look, dude, if you're close enough for me to slap you in the back of the head on the sideline, get your ass inside. Like the dude's running an inside route, right? But yeah, real time. He's exactly right. But yes, we still have to build it into like a fundamental structure and drills for it and concepts for it and constantly test for it and the whole thing.
No,
well, guys, I'll let you guys go. Appreciate you guys. We're gonna, again, like I said, I'm gonna try to do this like at least my thoughts. I know everybody's getting ready to get to the season, but so we'll figure that out for the end season. Obviously, I'm not in season anymore. But I'm gonna try to like do this like as a like every 2 weeks, sort of thing, and whatnot. But as always, like guys, reach out to me, like DM me, text me, whatever. Like if you guys have independent little questions as well too, I'm always responding, always answering. I'll send this link out, just like I've done before. Anybody like that wants like the anybody that like wants, just like we did last time, like just text me, email me, whatever, or Twitter me, like email again for the link and for the my outside linebacker manual if you guys want that that position manual and whatnot. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Awesome.